Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome you back to our Suzerain Despot run live streamed playthrough. This is going to be our final, if all goes well, unless something goes horribly wrong, this is going to be our final Suzerain live stream. This is going to be the final episode of this Despot run, and on the topic of finals and lasts, this might be the maybe, it's a maybe, I'm not 100% sure yet, but this might be the last Friday stream of the year, potentially, and this is actually my last stream as a 30-year-old. I always loved doing that as a kid. Anytime it's like the birthday's coming up, it's like, oh my god, this is my last time doing X as a 10-year-old. This is my last time doing Y as a 10-year-old. It's my last time streaming as a 30-year-old. Kind of wild. Folks, last session was the penultimate session. A lot went down. Spindle, I see your message there. You missed last session. It was crazy. A lot went down. We had the interview. We went on TV. We tried to defend our position with shooting down the Rumburgian warplane. We learned about the unfolding of the war between Volksland and Agnolia. We took our stance. We sided with Volksland, which must have come as a shock to quite a few people, I think, in the international community. But that was the call there. We proceeded to take care of Tusk, because we found out that his conglomerate was responsible for importing Ka-74s and potentially arming people against the government and just people against Sordland in general internally. And that's obviously unacceptable behavior, so we took care of him. Lucien was a little uncomfortable with that order, but he followed through, and that should hopefully work out in our favor, because his replacement would almost certainly be, if it hasn't already been, it would almost certainly be, what's-his-face, our good friend Caronti. Caronti or Conrati? I forget. Conriat is the name of the city. Caronti is the name of the person. So things are coming together, but we've definitely made quite a few enemies. We've wiped out a couple of them, which feels pretty good. We're actually on good terms with some of the conservative party members. We gave our party speech as well, and that seemed to have gone pretty well. Lots of applause and cheers and all that. So that was fantastic. And we also had our parade, our little military parade, where one tank managed to embarrass us by breaking down. But apart from that, I think things went swimmingly. I think. We'll find out. My one big concern going into today's session, well, I've got a couple. My biggest concern going into today's session is I cannot remember for the life of me when, during the previous playthrough, Surge approached us and gave us a lucky charm. I feel like we might have missed out on that event, and that makes me a little nervous. But hey, you know what? What helps with nerves is a dose of caffeine, and David coming through with that super sticker. Thank you very much, buddy. I will make sure to secure that for a cup of tea. Thank you very much, bud. Jokes aside, as I've said countless times, it really does help support the channel, the streams, and all that sorts of stuff, so I appreciate it greatly. Kicking us off right off the bat, nice and early. We haven't even hit resume yet, on which note perhaps we should hit resume. But yes, thank you very, very much. Let's see if we can't survive this playthrough. I don't recall getting the lucky charm. In fact, I recall not getting the lucky charm and being rather nervous about having not got the lucky charm. I remember sort of lamenting the lack of a lucky charm a few episodes ago. But maybe I'm mistaken. By the way, folks, let me know how the audio is sounding. A couple of sessions in a row now, folks have mentioned there's been a bit of clipping and stuff, and the audio's not been so great. There was a Windows update last night. As I was shutting it down at about like 4 o'clock in the morning, Windows is like, hey, we got an update. And it's one of those updates that you can't avoid, like you can't shut down unless you update. So hopefully everything's fine. Made some tweaks and adjustments. Hopefully they all saved, and hopefully everything sounds okay. The music is fantastic. The music in this game is fantastic. I love the menu music, and I love how it typically times itself perfectly for when I want to like bring myself in, bring the voice in as well. Though I cacked it up today because I was checking my my audio settings, and I keep forgetting the game actually doesn't keep playing audio in the background, which is one thing I wish they'd fix. Let me take a quick look over here at chat, folks. A warm welcome, of course, to all of y'all. We got Jazzy B, Classified, Natalie P, Lesson 19, Robo Gold, Spindle, Flak Armor, how goes? We got Ted Knight, Jamie Moodley. You think the interview was rough? I thought we did all right. Deep Livium, how goes? How goes? Keith Hinder, just here to say Suzerain, and I'm out. I mean, that's AAA grade. That's solid. I mean, I love the game though. So, but thanks for dropping by. I don't know if you're still there because you said you're out, but thanks for dropping by. If you happen to be listening, hello, David. Happy Friday to you as well. In Surge we trust. Yes. Again though, that Lucky Charm, I'm a little nervous. Wickles, how goes? I had to put you on the big screen downstairs for the last stream. Oh man, appreciate it. Yeah, grab the popcorn, get your snacks ready. It's potentially going to be a long one, though I checked, and our previous playthrough's finale is right around the same time. We were in the same sort of a time range, like same event range, I should say. So hopefully this won't be an insanely long finale episode, unlike the Humankind episode that dropped today. That was 3 hours long. That was an unexpectedly long recording session yesterday, so that was fun. Audio is great. Audio is good. All right, sounds good. Thanks for the heads up. I think Surge gives you the Lucky Charm before the Assembly vote on the new Constitution. Oh, we didn't vote on a new Constitution. Uh-oh. That never came up in this playthrough because we shut that nonsense down with our emergency. Well, I thought it happens before the, what's that meeting that the Bloods have a thing that they do. I forget what it was, but I thought that's when it comes through. Paladin, wow, you can tell I'm still waking up. Robo Gold, meanwhile, coming through. Remembering for 2 months. It's a little sad because the series is ending, indeed. But I'm sure we'll have something fantastic to replace it. I've got some plans already, of course, with Disco Elysium, and we're gonna have a fantastic time with that. It's much earlier on, is it, Jazzy? But Robogold, thank you very much, buddy, again for I don't know what happened at the beginning of this month. There was that weird issue, right? But thankfully, it looks like YouTube understood what went down. But I appreciate your prolonged, continued membership, buddy. Oh no, I know Robogold, I know. Sorry, I'm still like waking up. I got like 3 hours of sleep maybe, which is normal for me, but I think I'm still trying to get rid of the melatonin effects. There's not enough sunlight to do that. By the way, one more thing. The economy is looking fantastic. This is the best the economy's ever been in either of our playthroughs, and I'm hoping that'll carry us through this election. I say we dive in, folks. Enough hemming and hawing. I think we've given enough time for folks to join in, grab their snacks, sit down, and begin, I hope. Over to Hall Sword. We're headed to the meeting of the Alliance of Nations. This is a little nerve-wracking. Things are very different this time around than they were last time around because there's a whole other war going on, let's not forget. So a little concerned about what the focus is going to be. We do still have the whistleblower. We should still have all of our cards to play against Rumburg. I would rather avoid war. If war comes, we're ready for it. But of course, the loss of life is not ideal for a despot. Stability is the best thing for a despot because then life goes on, the pocket keeps getting filled, everyone's happy. Well, almost everyone's happy. So I would rather avoid war, but if it comes, we're ready for it, of course, because we're also nationalist. We're also nationalist. It's on the drive to Narbel, which I think is way back in chapter 1. Really, Jazzy? That far back? That doesn't sound right. I am happy we got a whole year of this game for sure. With completely different runs too, yes. And indeed, here we go. I, David Whiskey, and the rest of the Swordish delegation to the Alliance of Nations arrived in Kairut. The local police escorted us to the Alliance's headquarters in downtown Constantium, immediately recognizable by its gleaming dome. On entering the building, we were met with a parliamentary guide who briefed us about the procedures. After a strict security screening, the staff ushered us to the third floor. We entered the massive circular assembly hall and took our designated seats, and David sat next to me. All of the world's most powerful people under one gleaming dome. One wrong word and the world will go to hell. Ain't that the truth? Wild, I vaguely remember being on a plane with David before we actually arrived, but I might be mixing up one of the other diplomatic, events. Exactly, Wickles, exactly. That's the spirit. Going into the finale with the right spirit. Consistent. One wrong word. I'm glad to be among them. It's amazing how someone has managed to fill a room with people that absolutely loathe each other. That's priceless, but come on now. We've been to the assembly. We've seen it happen countless times. Are we really that surprised? I think exercising caution is not a terrible idea. One wrong word, and the world will go to hell. High pressure, I know. Just believe in yourself, Anton. From what I have seen, you'll do just fine. Oh wow. Wasn't expecting expecting that. Yeah, so Jazzy says, oh yeah, you're right, it's just before the assembly vote, only there was no vote. Luckily, the oligarchs who tried to kill you last time won't this time because you killed them first. So unless the Bloods try it, you'll be fine. I don't know. I'm worried about not having the lucky charm. We've missed out on it, right? Yeah. And I'm curious why, because we paid for that kid's university education and everything, too. All right. How are you feeling, Anton? Being the president must have taken a toll on you and the family. Well, you changing Sordland is hard, but we could never have expected it to be this way. We managed somehow. I managed somehow. God, ain't that the truth. It comes with a job. I, Monica, already came to terms with the risk after the inauguration ball. You know, Monica's been a bit of a thorn. Monica's been a bit of a thorn, hasn't she? I mean, she's... I don't know. I have a hard time... I have a hard time deciding how I feel about her. Because she's pushed back time and time again. Ultimately, we got our way because the assembly shut her down and shut that nonsense bill down. But she was still trying to not usurp us, but you know, she caused us struggle. She caused us strife. And don't worry, Classified. That money, that for wealth, went over to the re-election campaign, right? Because power over wealth, power is wealth, wealth is power. I don't know which one I prefer. But I'm hoping that it pays dividends. No, true, Natalie, true. I don't know that the lucky charm exists. In character, very true. Out of character, I'm shaking. All right, I'm gonna say when you change. Nah, you know that's too weak. That's too weak. I managed somehow. Just think of her curls. It is tough to be the president, making harsh decisions and dealing with their consequences. I wish I could have supported you more, but time has been a cruel mistress. Oh, David keeping some mistresses, eh? What you've done so far is more than enough. Don't treat yourself too harshly. Again, this was an old, he's worked well for us. I think, your advice wasn't that good anyway. I think we should make him feel good about himself. What you have done so far is more than enough. Don't treat yourself so harshly. In the distance, you could see the President of the General Assembly, Mr. Nines, approaching his designated position. Well, the session is about to start. Let's get comfortable. It's going to be a long day. Mr. Nines opened the session with a short speech and called the first speaker to the floor. It is my great pleasure to invite the Prime Minister of Lesbia to address the Assembly. Patricio Alvarez stood and walked up to the podium as the Assembly applauded. Mr. President, it is my pleasure to return to this podium. David leaned in and spoke in a low voice. Let's see how crazy this year's session will get. I'm surprised he isn't drunk. David chuckled. When I last spoke here, the message I gave was of encouragement and support to this organization and the vital role it plays. Of all the challenges Eastern Maricopa and the whole world has faced since then, one has grown larger and more imminent than any other. The threat of the so-called socialist states and the actions taken by their authoritarian rulers with no regard to international law. Loud noise came from the table of Volksland. I saw Emmerich Hegel pounding his fists on his table in protest. Volksland. I mean, it's not like we got along with him particularly well either. I could talk smack about pretty much everybody in this room except for what's his name, the guy in charge of Welland, because he's the only one who even gave me the time of day, really. Only person who gave us the time of day. And Dakota Ferry, how's it going? How's it going? Yeah, the economy's looking pretty solid. The economy's looking pretty good. I hope that helps us. I hope that helps us. M. Hussein says, though not appearing often, I really feel David as a calming and assuring presence when on text. He really is. He really comes across as that father figure, doesn't he? His writing is very well done. His writing is very well done. Yeah, I'm with you, Wickles. Look at that guy. He's an embarrassment. David nodded. Today, the need to come together as the leaders of the free world is more important than ever. The CSP, under the leadership of United Contana, has been fueling Volksland's military-industrial complex and its expansionist aims in eastern Marcopa. Oh. The world turned a blind eye when the armies of Volksland occupied Helgeland, and they did not stop there. According to our intelligence reports, United Contana-made nuclear missiles were quickly deployed to the island. Oh, damn, okay. He pulled out a photograph. Even though it was hard to see from my position, I recognized it as an aerial image of Helgeland. We demand that the Chancellor speak the truth. As you can all see, we have evidence of the construction of silos. Damn. That is kind of scary, actually. So again, none of this came up in our previous playthrough because the island stayed under the control of Agnolia. Now, the funny thing is, Patricio Alvarez is, of course, buddied up with Arcasia and the NATO equivalent in this universe. I keep forgetting what the ATO, I think they're called, right? So he's obviously speaking from that perspective. But either way, if they're nuclearizing the sea here, then that's scary for all of us. That's scary for all of us. This is a very central location, and you know, if one party starts introducing nukes, other parties will start introducing nukes as well. Bollocks. Oh man. Hey, the leader of the fee world. God damn it, classified. There's that capitalist line. Conrado C, how's it going, buddy? Not too late at all, man. We pretty much just did a quick recap and we dove into our the meeting of the Alliance of Nations. Patricio Alvarez is up front speaking his version of the truth, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to turn to David and ask him if he thinks it's true. He should know. This is kind of his field. Do you think that's true? Honestly, this was always likely to happen. But so soon after the occupation, I didn't expect that. David looked concerned. That is a serious problem. No Eastern Marcopan nation can accept the installation of weapons of mass destruction in the middle of our Markian Sea. Emmerich Hegel stood up and kept pounding his fists. We hereby call for the immediate dismantling and withdrawal of all missiles and other offensive weapons from Helgeland. We invite all the members states to support our call for a resolution in accordance with Article 11 of the Falenko Treaty. A lot of noise came from the assembly hall in response. Most of the Western Marcopan delegates were clapping, while others either shouted in protest or sat in stony silence. Let us also not forget about the recent events that transpired in another state with socialist teachings, a state that wages war against its own innocent citizens. Welland. Oh, yeah, Welland is socialist? What? It's the first I'm hearing of it. Right, innocent citizens, he's forgetting the violence of the BFF. He has a point, or keep listening. I'm gonna go ahead and say... Oh, geez. I feel like we're less I think we're less interested in the true politics, and I think we're more interested in calling the Bloods out for what they are. Right. Innocent citizens. He's forgetting the violence of the BFF. David nodded disapprovingly. Of my statement or of Patricio's statements? Their purge of the minorities in their country was again largely ignored by the international community. I would go as far as to call it a genocide. Welland violated our past treaties and mobilized their armed forces, deploying them close to our borders and authorizing them to partake in massacres. Lesbia was affected not only by the large wave of refugees coming from Welland, but by the subsequent government seizure of all of our companies that were active in the country. Welland did a bit more than they say than they said they would. I did not realize that happened. We hereby call the member states to action against Welland and its rogue government. Thank you. clap, applaud his statements against our like only ally, our half ally. No, I'll keep muttering with David. I feel like that's a very back of the classroom kids kind of an attitude, and I can totally see this guy having that attitude. You know, honestly, that was not a bad speech. I agree. He walked back to his seat amidst enthusiastic applause from most of the more open delegates. President Nines waited for the noise to calm down and invited the next speaker, the president of Welland, Victor Smolak. You know, I feel like when these events happen in real life, I feel like whoever organizes the agenda definitely like either has a past in or aspires to have a future in reality TV editing, and so they they time speakers accordingly. Poppy Fire, hey, how's it going? Glad you can make it. I do not actually. I don't actually follow chess all that closely, truth be told. Like I've said in the past, I've played chess. I don't follow it all that closely. Smolak stood up. As he walked past Patricio Alvarez, he brushed him aside with an exaggerated sweep of his arms. What a clown, this guy. When he reached the podium, he fumbled with the microphone for a few seconds. Then, he smiled at Alvarez mockingly as he raised the height of it. What a douche. Look at all the theatrics. We never liked his theatrics. Yes, that's him. Victor turned to President Nines and bowed slightly. Mr. President. He then turned back at us and stared out into the hall for a few seconds. Fellow delegates, it is true that the world today faces a multitude of challenges. In the midst of these challenges, the world's most powerful leaders gather here in Kairut. And what do? They make threats, promote hate, and spread lies. Is this the alliance of nations we all want? Where is the cooperation and friendship? Where is the unity? I want to remind you of the wars that the West fought on our soil, of the foreign troops who occupied our country and seized our valuable resources. I want to remind you how they stole the oil from our sacred soil, and they did not know when to stop. The ATO soldiers left, but their interference never ceased. They financed armed rebel groups whose only purpose is to create terror inside our country. So, fellow delegates, don't you dare speak about Welland before you acknowledge your involvement in our civil war, before you acknowledge your own dark past. He's not entirely wrong. It's true that the Western powers had their hands in the Welland Civil War, but it doesn't justify the operation. Sorry, you already know my take on dealing with him. I appreciate the honesty, David. As is well known, after the tremendous tragedy of the Welland Civil War, Arcasia made a deal with United Contana, where they agreed upon the withdrawal of their troops along with the removal of half of our army. Not only did they weaken us, we were left alone in facing the genocidal Blutish Freedom Front, which the ATO funds together with Rumburg. Just like the delegate before me, I will show you some of the evidence of foreign interference. He picked up a large and we're back. Gonna have a couple of hiccups today, on and off, I think, but we should be able to run it smoothly as we've done in the past. Fear not. Again, unless I say explicitly in chat, folks, the show will go on. And actually, I thought I saw. Hang on a second. I see the question from you, Poppy Fire. Birthday is actually tomorrow, and the plan is to stream tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, which is an hour and a half from now. I've got some plans. I've got a game lined up. Very excited to share. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Birthday is actually tomorrow itself, so we are streaming on the day itself. But I thought I saw. I was gonna mention. Right, Classified said this is my first stream as a 47-year-old. Happy birthday, Classified. Belated now, and I apologize for missing it earlier. I saw it, I noted it in my head, but as I was saying, still waking up, right? So I had it in my head, but I completely forgot to actually say my thoughts out loud. Happy belated birthday, Classified. Hope you're enjoying life and your first stream as a 47-year-old. Sorry, but completely slipped my mind earlier. My bad. My bad. But yeah, happy belated birthday, bud. Let's see. Grant Schmeckel says, I normally can't catch your streams, but I'm homesick today. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I'm glad you could join us today, but hope you feel better soon. Hope it's nothing too major, and hope you're doing all right. Not so bad. Got tea, an extra blanket, and now a party stream. Appreciate you can make it, bud. Hope this all makes you feel better. And Ren, thank you very much. I wish I was at home with a migraine, but I'm working through it. I was very, the first half threw me off. I was like, you would rather be at home with a migraine? And then I realized, because you're at work with a migraine, man, that's rough. Migraines are no fun. More power to you, buddy, Ren. Working through a migraine is not pleasant. So hang in there, bud. Hang in there. I hope it's an easy day, at least, relatively, to a degree. And M. Hussein says, there's a humankind map of Maricopa. That is actually kind of interesting. Wow. That's pretty cool that someone put the effort into to do that. Huh. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out. And yours soon too, Wickles. Nice. November, December babies unite. Yeah, hell yeah. And Fussin19, yours is around now as well. Damn, a lot of December babies. Good stuff. And yeah, Italian Spartacus's birthday is. Oh man, I think I must have missed it. I gotta wish the guy. I think his comes shortly before mine. I gotta reach out to him. It's been such a crazy last couple of days, making sure everything's in place for December. I haven't been online as much as I would have liked. Hey, I'm glad I did Grant. To roll the dice there, I'm glad I got it right. Hopefully I can keep that consistent. Hopefully I can keep that consistent. All right, sorry. Back at it before streaming software dies on us again. Where are we? Just like the delegate before me, I will show you some of the evidence of foreign interference, says Victor Smolak. He picked up a large stack of papers and waved them back and forth. I have clear evidence of direct aid from Rumburg to the Blutish Freedom Front. They smuggled tons of Ka-74s in Welland. They smuggled in their spies, smuggled in mercenary commanders. I should definitely take advantage of the fact that we're not the only ones. I should say something, let Smolak know I'm on his side. Let's not be a part of the gong show. Let's not be a clown like who was it we were pointing out earlier? Hegel? Let's not be like that, right? Let's not be like that. Ooh, hey Havoc, how's it going, buddy? Sure. I will hit you up right after this stream. I'm curious. Very cheeky. But how's it going, bud? Yeah, it's been a bit of a year, hasn't it? But this week I've been prepping for December. Lots of fun videos coming out in December. I'm really excited for to get those done. Lots of script writing and editing to do though. He's finally talking about it. We're not the only ones now. So it seems. These documents will be published everywhere. Copies have already been sent to the investigative affairs of the Alliance of Nations. I expect this organization to do its task and investigate this properly, instead of leaving Welland behind as they have always done. Coming back to the claims of the lesbian representative, first, there's no evidence. Gonna be one of those days, isn't it? Gotta slow us down somehow. Coming back to the claims of the lesbian representative, first, there is no evidence of civilian massacres by the Wessex forces, nor so-called purges of minorities. Yeah, the Bloods hear us talking about them, eh? Second, the operation was limited only to the militant BFF, not the Bloods in general. Third, we know your government is also implicated in the funding of the BFF, and that your oil companies aided their militants during the operation. Fourth, as the state, we only took what was ours. The companies the delegate spoke of were not only aiding militants, they were brought to Welland by force. Know that Welland will no longer recognize the right of any other country to determine what type of weapons we are permitted to possess, or what type of policies we follow within our borders. Welland stands stronger and more united than ever. Our people have spoken. The enemies inside our borders are crushed. Now I ask every delegate here to read our report on the connections of the West with the armed militants in eastern Maricopa, and I ask the Alliance of Nations to do what's right. Welland only wants peace. Our people want peace. They are counting on the support and understanding of all the nations of the world. The proclamation is, Free Welland or Death! The assembly roared, with particularly loud applause coming from the seats of Rican nations. Damn, that was a strong speech. It will certainly be remembered. Victor slowly walked back to his seat as he applauded himself. He saluted the Rican delegates as he passed them. Next, President Nines invited Martin van Hoorten to the podium. He walked up to the microphone with quick steps. He was frowning and clenching his fists. I could almost see his jaw trembling. Seems like Martin's not in the mood. Can you blame him? Volksland has just occupied Helgeland. Mr. President, fellow delegates of the Assembly, and friends, it is an honor to be with you today. I wish we could meet under different circumstances. Once again, the CSP nations, and in particular Volksland, have shown us what they're willing to do to achieve their political aims. I must sadly say that the world has left us alone. We were one of the first countries to propose proper cooperation between Eastern Maricopan nations. Yet, when we were threatened by Volkslandian expansionism, nobody came to our side. Although Mr. Alvarez voiced his indirect support for us earlier in today's session, I can't keep myself from wondering where he was when our lands were under invasion by the very socialists he spoke about. So here I am, asking for the support of the fellow member states of the Alliance of Nations. Magnolia is under attack by Volksland. A loud banging noise emerged from the table of Volkslandian delegates. All of them were pounding their fists on their table. Nah, you know what? Screw Martin. He's not about all this unity and all that. Remember the insult. Remember how he spat in our face. Keep watching. Mr. President, please moderate the assembly. This is more than disrespectful. Hegel began shouting curses as Nines repeatedly banged his gavel for order. After a minute of back and forth shouting, the noise settled and Nines allowed Martin to continue. As you all know, Helgeland, which had been a territory of Magnolia for more than 3 decades, was invaded by Volksland in a sudden attack. Not only did they unlawfully occupy our land, they brought nuclear missiles to the island the moment our forces retreated. Millennialist terror surrounds us on all sides. We must not falter. I invite all member states to find a resolution in accordance with Article 11 of the Falenko Treaty, enforcing the immediate dismantling of all missiles from Helgeland. I must also remind you that under Article 3 of the Ventry City Treaty, the Alliance of Nations must ensure the withdrawal of the occupying forces from the island. I call the democratic world to action against the tyranny of millennialism, authoritarianism, militarism, and extremism. The banging noise started again. Hegel stood up and approached the rostrum. "You're a spineless jerk, a lackey of Arcasian imperialism." President Nines called for silence and started hitting the gavel. Look at the old man go. "All of your complaints against us are a direct result of your capitalist and neo-colonialist systems." President Nines, please, what is this? President Nines smacked his gavel in vain as a shouting match broke out in the assembly. Finally, after a few minutes, the other Volkslandian delegates convinced Hegel to sit back down. Oh, wow! I'm surprised they actually managed to calm him down before, fists started flying, man. I believe I don't need to speak more about this subject. Everything is clear as day. Mr. Hegel's actions speak volumes about the reality of Volksland and their corrupted ideology. I hope to see this conflict resolved with the help of the Alliance of Nations soon. He quickly left the podium and nodded to the other Agnolian delegates. The two left the assembly hall. President Nines announced the next speaker, Hegel. Hegel immediately took his place and spoke in a low, seething tone. Thank you. David, buckle up. It's the Chancellor's time now. It looks like you're having fun, Mr. President. First of all, I want to extend a due welcome to the new states from Rica that have joined this organization. After fighting for years against colonialism and imperialism, they more than earned our membership vote. I'm overjoyed to see them finally represented in this assembly. As our numbers grow and more states are represented in this stage, we come ever closer to finding resolutions to the conflicts that plague us. For hundreds of years, the dominant economies of Maricopa raised, pillaged, and exploited the continents of Rica and Gina. Sadly, Volksland was also part of this plunder in the years before the Revolution, when it still clung to the idea of imperialism. But when our masses found their voice, the old colonial powers and their new financiers turned against them. These powers did whatever they could to hamper our revolutions. They did not want the people to be heard. They are scared of us for showing the possibility of a better path. Of course they don't want us to succeed. We threaten the productivity that runs on the blood and sweat of their working class. And now they have started labeling us the aggressors. Yet we all know it was the Arcasians who built up military bases all around Maricopa. It was the ATO that was first formed to fight against millennialism. Again, we side with the ATO. Well, we don't side with either side per se, but we are anti-millennialists ourselves, so we're gonna have to call this out. And Grant, this is it's pretty ambiguous about which part of the world is being fictionalized. A lot of people have their own theories. I see a lot of people saying the closest real world allegory is Turkey, but I've seen a lot of things that make it similar to other nations as well, like an amalgamation of a bunch of other nations. Truth be told, the problems that plague Sordland are familiar to quite a few parts of the world. So there's, depending on where you're looking, you can find, I think, quite a few parallels. Wouldn't be the first time a fight broke out in an assembly. I mean, ain't that the truth, Wickles? It's pretty common, in fact, in some nations' assemblies for fisticuffs to just go for it. Yeah, actually, Grant, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah, that's a fairly common. I think it was. No, was it Hong Kong or was it Taiwan? I forget now. But yeah. That's one I was thinking of as an example, Grant. And I believe it happened in Japan as well, where a fight broke out when they were talking about remilitarization like 5 or 6 years ago now. I forget. Yeah, it's not entirely uncommon to have unarmed combat in political spaces. But no, bullshit. Do you think so? He's not entirely wrong. Helgeland was, is, and will be Volkslandian territory. Our intervention in the island was completely justified. Mr. Delegate brought up the Falenko and Ventry city treaties. However, they are forgetting about the Treaty of Constantine. Volksland exercised its right to intervene on behalf of our people, who were being oppressed and massacred by the Agnolian government just because they did not recognize an appointed governor. They didn't get to elect one. We acted in full accordance with the second article of the treaty. If there's a side to be blamed, it is the state which murders its minorities for publicly showing support to our nation. There were also claims about illegal missiles. No country in the world has the right to determine what type of weapons we import. If there's a conflict the Alliance can resolve, let's start with the Arcasian base on Ravnos Island. Lesbia has been housing Arcasian troops and missiles by our border for years, and none of the member states even talked about it. I also want the member states to look into the Arcasian bases in Lesbia. And if the Alliance of Nations truly claims to have the people's best interests at heart, they cannot stay silent about what the Agnolian government did in Helgeland, how they took away the rights of our people. Perhaps then, there can be proper dialogue between our nations, and the Alliance of Nations can finally demonstrate that it can serve its intended purpose. But unfortunately, the Alliance of Nations remains all too willing to overlook such human rights violations. However, the Volkslandian government is ready as always to fight the forces of oppression and colonial servitude on behalf of free people everywhere. He raised his left fist. Irrevoluten vescore. Random languages being thrown my way is not my forte. Real world languages, sure, but I don't even know where to base my pronunciation about over here. We've had fights in the South African Parliament. Oh yeah, it's not exclusive to certain locales. It's a very, very common occurrence around the world. I believe a lot of parliaments still operate on the louder you shout, the more you're heard. I revoluten vescore. Yeah, I'm just not sure. Just not sure. Was that Swordish? Did I catch that right? He said the revolution will come. Yes, but it was in Old Volgish. Very similar to Swordish, right? Some words are even written the same way, but I'm surprised you caught that from his accent. I'm a learned individual, what can I say? Most of the delegates from Xena, I'm assuming it's Sheena. I assume that's China reference. Sheena, Rika, and Contana responded with thunderous applause. Hegel shook hands with them as he walked back to his seat. President Nines announced the next speaker, Queen Beatrice Livingston. Dear President of the Assembly, dear delegates, dear leaders of the world, just as my fellow Eastern Mercopan delegates spoke about the troubles plaguing our continent, I also have to bring attention to a growing threat in our region, Sordland. As you know, not long ago, Swordish aircraft with offensive capabilities were spotted inside our borders. A few days later, they shot down one of our planes inside our own airspace. It was practically an act of war. Know this, Rumburg will do anything in its power to defend itself and its interests, whether Sordland is actually planning something or not. Our Swordish neighbors and what they've been doing is very concerning. They took in traitors and gave them protection. Their president himself came to power amid murder and unrest, yet people from his administration had the guts to blame our government for inciting violence. And they expect the world to believe their lies. Again, we're going to maintain decorum, I think is important, right? We can't be the clowns in this assembly. We'll have our chance to speak. I'll just call her a hag instead. That hag. Let's first hear her out. I hereby invite all of you to determine the initiation of a proper intergovernmental investigation into Sordland. If the Alliance continues to shirk its given duties, you can trust Rumburg to take matters into her own hands. It is also important to point out that Rumburg will not stand idly by if more Contanan and Arcasian military are transferred to Eastern Mercopa. I hereby condemn both the CSP and ATO for trying to influence our region with their military power. Before I finish, I also want to say, Mr. Smolak, I'm looking forward to reading your report. I wonder what the so-called evidence is all about. I wish, Jamie Moodley, I wish we could nuke her. Know that your slander does not work on us. Know that we are ready to die for our freedom. Know that our kingdom stands firm and strong. Expect a grand awakening. Thank you. Is that not a threat of war right there? Isn't that a threat of war right there? Sully Dwyer watching this before my test here at school. Aw, damn, good luck, buddy. Best of luck to you. I hope it's not a history exam where we start writing about the history of Sordland by mistake instead. But good luck, dude. Rumburg dissing everyone. Honestly, Rumburg is just going at it. They're not making any friends over here. Grand awakening? That sounded like a threat. She left the rostrum without getting much applause. Good, this is good for us. Then President Nines spoke my name. Mr. Anton Rayne, President of Sordland, I invite you to address the Assembly. David immediately started applauding. Good luck, Mr. President. I walked up to the rostrum and took my place at the podium. Oh no, was David the only one clapping? In front of me were some of the most powerful leaders in the entire world. I looked them in the eyes. Oh, jeez. I mean, alright, we have to make sure we touch on, we have, no pressure, says Jazzy Beat, throw those skulls up. We have to make sure we touch on the whistleblower. We have to make sure, I mean, do we need to talk about our internal affairs, right? Or can we avoid that conversation entirely? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't like how we've been running things. They won't understand how it's been necessary. But if we can direct their attention to Rumburgian aggression, we can touch on how Beatrice was lying, I think we can control the conversation a little bit. We have to be polite, we have to maintain decorum, we have to seem like an actual, head of state, head of government. So, thank you, Mr. President. Fellow delegates, Hal Thor, how's it going, buddy? Just don't mess this up. Yeah, easy, no pressure. How's it going, bud? Glad you could join us today. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow delegates, anybody who ascends this roster must appreciate what a significant gathering he is addressing, okay? The speakers who have preceded me have expressed their concern about their problems, okay? Sordland remains committed to the Alliance of Nations and the ideals that gave birth to it. Geez, I feel like 3 is gonna get a bit of a response, and I don't mean a positive one. I feel like 2 just leads directly into us talking about our personal issues. One just seems like kind of like fluff, like fluffing people up. I mean, you know. So I feel like it's between 2 or 3. We could try for 3 here. I worry that it's going to be called out for, you know, like, hey, if you're all about those ideals, then why are you murdering your own people? Classified. Sounds like me at work. If I can get through this meeting sounding like I work here, that would be great. I hear that. No, I feel, yeah, it's between 2 or 3 for me, and I see one call for each. I feel like 2 is a segue directly into some of our own issues that we're facing, whereas 3 is opening us up for criticism, you know, right away. Here we go, overthink. Yeah. I'm definitely overthinking, aren't I? I feel like fluffing them up is unnecessary because everyone feels already positioned against Queen Beatrice. Nobody liked her speech, and Rumburg has been brought up as an aggressor a couple of times. So I feel like we can kind of like go right into it. So you know what? The speakers who have preceded me have expressed their concern about their problems. Jazzy B raises a good point. 3 promotes harmony and butters up the community. Yeah, but we're gonna get called out so hard. Someone's just gonna yell, then why are you killing the blues? Alright, let's try it. Fine, let's try it. Sordland remains committed to the Alliance of Nations and the ideals that gave birth to it. I would like to stress the importance of these words, Alliance of Nations, or yet we all know how often the noble ideals in this embodied in this charter remain unfulfilled and concerns unheard, okay? We must remain devoted to the dream of a peaceful and free world, a united world. I feel like there's 2 ways to go about this. Either we can be very, like, critical of the Alliance of Nations, like everybody else has been, or we can promote a successful future. You know, no use crying over spilt milk. We remain devoted to the dream, as opposed to like, oh, you know, wag my finger, remember Alliance of Nations, or oh, look at how many times we've failed. You know, like I feel like there's a few ways we could go about this. As Flak Armor comes through with a super chat, life calls, I'll catch the rest. Excellent timing for that crash to happen, eh? Like perfect timing. I think we're all back. But yeah, so Flak Armor coming through with that super chat. Life calls, I'll catch the rest later. Do not think of this as me leaving you in your darkest hour. I'll eagerly await news of your success from a safe location. Happy birthday tomorrow. Thank you very much, Flak Armor. Appreciate it greatly. The birthday wishes and the super chat as well. As I say time and time again, it really helps support the streams, the channel, keeps it all sustainable, keeps it all alive and running smoothly. I say running smoothly despite the stream acting up today, but running smoothly. Appreciate it greatly, Flak Armor. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the VOD when you catch it, and have yourself a beautiful rest of your Friday and weekend if I don't catch you over the weekend. But yes, we're back again. Unless I explicitly state in chat that the stream is dead for some reason, we will be back. As again, I haven't had the time yet to port everything over from Streamlabs to Stream Elements and stuff. Oh, I'm slowly making the move over, and hopefully the troubles will be behind us when I finally manage. My apologies, folks. Ricky Cool, yesterday was your birthday. Well, first of all, welcome to chat. Glad you could make today. Second, happy belated birthday. We got a lot of December babies up in here. A lot of late November, early December babies, mid-December. We got a lot of birthdays around this time of year. It's great. Well, happy belated birthday, Ricky Cool. Glad you could make it today, and I hope you had a wonderful time. And Conrado, no, birthday is tomorrow. Birthday is tomorrow, Conrado C. That was an early birthday wish from Flak Armor. We are doing a birthday stream tomorrow, 13. Wow. At noon tomorrow. we are doing a birthday stream. It's going to be a pretty chill stream. I've got a new game lined up for it, which I think will work quite nicely. We're going to start at noon Eastern time, which is about an hour from now. Tomorrow we'll be starting, and it'll be a fun time, I think. It'll be a fun time. Thank you very much, Ricky. Cool. Appreciate it. All right, where were we? So, Sordland remains committed to the Alliance Nations. Right, so I think we should probably go for 3 here. We must remain devoted to the dream of a peaceful and free world, a united world. Our century is the century of the struggle for freedom, the century of liberation from foreign occupation. Oh, it's a little touchy. Our people are still not free from fear, not free from poverty and starvation, okay? Our world is faced with the dangers of division, the dangers of large military alliances and nuclear arms races. I feel like that touches on stuff. Sounds good, Conrado C. That, again, I'll be greatly appreciated, but no pressure, of course. I'm going to try and keep it going for a bit longer than usual streams tomorrow, so people can kind of filter in and out. Again, it's going to be a pretty chill stream, no crazy stakes, hopefully, but it should be nice to celebrate again. I enjoyed it last year, so I thought we'd do it again this year, and celebrate my slow aging. hopefully like a fine wine, an unopened bottle of fine wine, that is. Our world is faced with the dangers of division, the dangers of large military alliances, and nuclear arms races. Thank you very much for subscribing, WS. Hope you're enjoying the show, buddy. If you are, you know what to do. Let me know down below. Hit that like button. Helps me make decisions for the channel. Now it is more important than ever to set aside our differences and unite under this charter, okay? It is time to ask the hard questions, ask if this organization is achieving any of its aims, or today we're confronted by a difficult choice. Our great achievements may either be used for the benefit or to the detriment of mankind. Ricky Cool, that's a surprise as of yet. But it's a fun game with role-playing elements and some stakes and some difficulty as well. And it can either be a bunch of short runs, or it can be a decently long run, depending on how well we play. It'll be fun. Not yet, Akshay, not yet. We're in the process of doing exactly that. And yeah, honestly, Natalie, you're right. Today we're confronted by a difficult choice. It's time to ask the hard questions. Now it is more important than ever to set aside our differences and unite under this charter. Oh God, everyone unites against us. Now I'd like to address some of the topics mentioned here today, or I will not respond to any of the comments made today. Instead, I want to talk about our responsibilities as the Alliance of Nations. No. We need to address some of the topics here, because one of those topics is going to be Rumburg, right? Presumably. So now I'd like to address some of the topics mentioned here today. We have to address all of them? Can't I pick and choose? God damn it. It was earlier claimed that Welland was involved in a genocide. Such strong words shouldn't be spoken without proper evidence, or we are deeply saddened by the tragic events that took place in Welland. I mean, okay, how has Welland really come to our aid? Has Welland really been of any assistance? I mean, our trade deal with them has helped our economy and stuff like that, sure. I think we could stab him in the back over here, saying we're deeply saddened by the tragic events that took place there. But like that might gain us some favor with the others of the Alliance of Nations, but I feel like again it opens us up for criticism, right? People will be like, well, what about the genocide on your side of the border, and the fact that we partnered with Welland to assist them in that, even though we didn't do a full partnership, we did help them out. Oh, really? We're leaning towards 2, are we? There's a way of spinning this, like, oh, the tragic events that took place, but we won't call it a genocide. I don't know. Well, we could find out, I guess. Screw Welland. We're number 1, right? We are deeply saddened by the tragic events that took place in Welland. Okay, there's a part 2 to that statement. But Sordland stands together with the Wessex people, okay, but we will continue our cooperation with Welland. I have to admit the operation resulted in many unnecessary deaths. Ooh. I don't know if any of these are optimal. Yeah, exactly. If war comes, then we still need that alliance, right? But yeah, good point. We shouldn't refer to it as a genocide. I have to admit the operation resulted in many unnecessary deaths. Is that... I mean, how does that play, right? It's like admitting a mistake. Is that more admirable? You know what I mean? But Sordland stands together with the Wessex people. We will continue our cooperation with Welland. One of these is political. One of these is one of these is more directly like about a political alliance, and one is a bit more soft on that front. I think one might be the way to go here. Yeah, it's about the Wessex people, just like it's about the Swordish people and their safety and their protection and all that. But Sordland stands together with the Wessex people. I also would like to address the Queen of Rumburg. Significantly more important to us than Van Hoorten. She talked about some hypothetical threat that our nation poses to Eastern Maricopa, while Rumburg's military has tripled in the last decade, okay? The real threat to Eastern Maricopa has always been Rumburg. Today it's still the case. Or Sordland always wanted to have peace between our nations, yet we are being threatened by Rumburg. I feel like 2 might be the way to go over here. I mean, she talked about some hypothetical threat versus their military strength having tripled in the last decade. Those are hard numbers, I guess, hard to deny. It's between 1 and 2, I think. It's between 1 and 2. And exactly, Conrad, I was saying the same thing. I feel like, wait, Jazzy, you're saying 3 here? We've always wanted peace between our nations. I guess, right, make ourselves look like we're the good guys. Tough. Sordland always wanted to have peace between our nations, yet we're being threatened by Rumburg. The real threat has always been Rumburg. I feel like... So, my concern with 2 is that if it sounds subjective. It might not be. Maybe it's a bit more objective than I think. But it sounds very subjective. Because if somebody out there is like, no, they're not the real threat. What are you talking about? The real threat is Arcasia or whatever. Then they're immediately going to discount what we have to say. 1 is a bit more objective, right? It's like, oh, well, their military size has tripled in the last decade. It's a clear example of them spending more on sort of war-related things, and we should be concerned about that. But we've increased our own spending as well. And while our military hasn't increased in size, we've still invested in our military. So we're doing similar stuff as well, right? So then maybe 3 is the right option here. To make us look like we want peace. Rumburg is escalating, so we've had to respond to that by matching them in our strength and all that. So I feel like maybe 3 is the way to go here. Sordland always wanted to have peace between our nations, yet we are being threatened by Rumburg. 3 is a victim game. True, yeah. 3 could also be depending on whether others believe our version about the plane shot down. Yeah, and I think we have our whistleblower as well, let's not forget, right? It was Rumburg who shot our aircraft within our airspace. We only defended our borders, okay? The Rumburgian aircraft that was shot down was flying in our airspace, or it was a tragedy that both of our planes were shot down. We both made mistakes. Now, we're not about to admit to any mistakes over here, because there were none. It was Rumburg who shot our aircraft within our airspace. We only defended our borders. Yeah, that was the first event. And plus, it's about us losing something as opposed to us shooting something down. Both may have happened, but you don't want to talk about, like, yeah, we shot down. Like, at the end of the day, whether you're protecting your airspace or not, shooting down an enemy, like, plane and potentially killing somebody is still an act of violence, right? It's still an act of violence. It doesn't matter whose airspace they were in. Somebody might have died. Somebody did die, right? And that's what people will focus on. So instead you want to say our plane was shot down in our airspace and we only defended our borders. That kind of clears you of any visible blood on your hands, I suppose, temporarily at least. It was Rumburg who shot our aircraft within our airspace. We only defended our borders. 1 is true. I mean, they're both true. 1 and 2 are both true. But 1 I think makes us look better. It was Rumburg who shot our aircraft within our airspace. We only defended our borders. I also have some evidence to show the assembly. Mr. Smolak was right about the Ka-74s, okay. Sordland only wanted peace, not baseless accusations and threats, or if Rumburg continues this aggression, Sordland will be ready. We're not here to warmonger. I also have some evidence to show the assembly. Mr. Smolak was right about the Ka-74s. We have evidence, we should present it now, right? Rumburg has definitively been arming the BFF in Sordland, or we discovered that many militant groups in Sordland were being financed or armed by Rumburg. Ooh, do we want to focus just on the BFF or other militant groups as well? I feel like we can focus on the BFF over here. But what other militant groups would they have been funding? I mean, we know about the BFF for sure. We know they've been supplying weapons, I think, to... were they supplying weapons to the Young Swords? I think 1 is the way to go here. It is, yeah, exactly. It's a bit more specific, and 2 is exactly which groups. Even I can't name all the groups. I think they were providing weapons to the Young Swords, and I'm with them, so that's fine by me, right? So I think 1 here, just to be a bit more concrete in our statements. Rumburg has definitively been arming the BFF in Sordland. There's another important piece of evidence that we have provided to us by someone close to the Rumburgian government. Oh, there it is. I hereby call on the Alliance of Nations to serve its duty. Or I hereby call on the Alliance of Nations to support Sordland. No, there is another important piece of evidence that we have, provided to us by someone close to the Rumburgian government. Mr. Hailstone was branded as a traitor in Rumburg for blowing the whistle on the country's hidden nuclear facilities. Or, according to our reports, Rumburg has been building its own nuclear weaponry. Okay, here it is. The question is, which one do we go with? Which one do we go with? Which one is more impactful? Mr. Hailstone names the whistleblower by name, right? Gives, I guess, some more credence to the statement than just saying according to our reports. I guess hidden nuclear facilities implies nuclear weapons very clearly, I suppose. That was my only concern about the difference between 1 and 2 on that front, is that 2 says nuclear weaponry, 1 just says nuclear facilities. But I think it's pretty obvious what kind of facilities we're talking about, and I think, yeah, using the name and saying blowing the whistle and having that traitor branding mentioned as well, I feel it all, nails him, basically. I think hidden nuclear facilities sounds like weapons enough, right? Because it's not like nuclear power plants. Those would be, I feel like those wouldn't be so hidden, right? I think 1 might be might apply a bit more pressure here. True, Capers is right. Capers is right. Also, how's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it. But yeah, cite your sources, right? Cite your sources. Mr. Hailstone was branded as a traitor in Rumburg for blowing the whistle on the country's hidden nuclear facilities. I hereby call on the Alliance of Nations to serve its duty. Rumburg and its nuclear facilities must be properly investigated, or get them to support Sordland. We're facing an existential threat. I don't think it's about supporting Sordland. I think it's about shutting down Rumburg, right? I think it's about shutting down Rumburg. You don't need to love Sordland to despise Rumburg and its nuclear capabilities, right? I hereby call on the Alliance of Nations to serve its duty. Rumburg and its nuclear facilities must be properly investigated. Oh, geez. Now I'd like to bring my speech to a close, or thank you for listening to our concerns. I wish to see a resolution for the AN. I think 1 is the way to go. 2 makes me think of... I remember a long time ago, I think I was in like middle school or something, and an English teacher told a student who was presenting... because they ended their presentation with, I'm done now. And the teacher was like, that's not how you end a presentation. Thank you for listening to our concerns. I wish to see a resolution from the AN soon. God damn it, we're still going? The AN can no longer... And we're back. At least I think we're back. Yeah, we should be back. There we go. All right, cool. One is a sweet way to finish. Okay, let's see. So the AN can no longer fail to ignore the machinations of the enemies of peace. Oh, I do like that, the enemies of peace. We stand and always will stand for the rights of the people of Sordland and Eastern Maricopa, just as those in other continents. Okay, if the right actions are not taken, it will be quite evident that international relations cannot continue on such basis. I feel like 3 is on too much of the aggressive there. Let's chill a bit, you know. 2, we stand and always will stand for the rights of the people of Sordland and Eastern Maricopa, just as those in other continents. It's, yeah, I don't necessarily like that ending there. We stand and always will stand for the rights. It seems a little disjointed from what we just said, and it also, like, just as those in other continents sounds like such a throwaway line, you know? Like, it sounds like, oh yeah, by the way, we also care about other people. I think we need to go with 1 there. It's a bit more definitive. It's a bit more pointed. The AN can no longer fail to ignore the machinations of the enemies of peace. That's a weird statement, though. I think that's a language issue. No longer fail to ignore. Can no longer continue to ignore the machinations. Is I think what we would say in reality. Oh, God damn it, just shut up and go back to your seat. Long live the Alliance of Nations, long live unity and peace. There cannot be any more procrastination or delay. The AN must adopt decisions according to the wishes of the people of the world, or the people of Sordland and I are honored to have expressed our concerns before this noble assembly. Oh, I don't mind that. I kind of think it's between 1 and 3. What do you guys think? I need a quick sip of water over here, losing my voice already, but, 2 applies pressure. I thought we already applied pressure, but maybe we need to keep applying more pressure. God damn it. I feel like the speech has ended 3 times, you know? I feel like the speech has ended 3 times. It's like one of those movies that just won't stop. I see some calls for 3. I see a call for more pressure. I feel like we've applied enough pressure. We've already said, like, let's. I want to see a resolution soon. We can't fail, or we can't ignore the machinations of the enemies of peace. Streaming software here. Not a fan of our. That time it died, like, back to back in, like, 30 seconds. What the hell? Thank you for your patience, folks. It is greatly appreciated. It's driving me wild over here. Exacerbating my growing headache. God damn. I feel like you might be right about 1. Kind of getting people excited, you know? A leader who likes to hear himself speak. The game is way too spot on. Ain't that the truth, man? Long live the Alliance of Nations. Long live... Man. For real? This is getting really annoying. This is getting very frustrating. Why are we not? There we go. It's finally... Oh my god. Alright, long live the Alliance of Nations. Long live unity and peace. The faster we move, we might actually see this series reach its end, right? Oh no. That's too nationalist, I think. Amorgno Escor is too nationalist for this stage. Peace in Maricopa. Peace in the world. There was some applause from the assembly. Only some. I'm gonna say thank you and walk off. Thank you. I left the podium. I walked back to my seat. David did not stop applauding until I sat down. How was it? I need to know, how was it? It was not a bad speech, Mr. President. You did well. President Nines announced the next speaker. Dwight Walker. Long live stream interruptions, the enemy of peace. True, ain't that the truth, man? Mr. President, I first want to congratulate you on your election to this high office. Mr. Secretary, delegates to the Alliance of Nations, ladies and gentlemen, fellow friends. We meet again on our quest to bring peace and light into this world, but even though some of the clouds have lifted, the world has not yet escaped the darkness. The Contanon Security Pact is rapidly expanding its influence. It is very troubling to see a democratic nation of Makopa be invaded by those millennialist powers. I refer, of course, to Helgeland's occupation by Volksen. This is an attack against the lasting peace the world has enjoyed since the century of revolutions. Today, our peacekeeping obligations are being tested by United Contana and the millennialist bloc. If we fail to counter and stop this threat, if we stay idle and allow them to build new walls and weapons of hostility, if the attackers do not face any consequences, then this unstable peace we believed we had built will be the world's downfall, and posterity will point its finger at us for not stopping it. I will be stopping you for a second, Dwight Walker, to say thank you to... I remember there's a trick to saying that, isn't it? Milliliter, that's what it was. I was like, what was it? Milliliter, right? Thank you very much for joining in as a new channel member. I should say rejoining, if memory serves me correctly. Folks, throw up those banners, throw up those E's, and give a warm welcome to Milliliter, our latest channel member. Thank you so very much again, and as always, it really helps support the channel. Really helps keep it all alive and running smoothly, more smoothly than the stream typically. But I appreciate it greatly, as you very well know. Yeah, no, the stream crashing is painful, but I appreciate y'all sticking through it with me and exhibiting such patience, trying to remain patient as well. Milliliter says, just realized my old membership somehow stopped working a few months ago, so just redo that. Well, I appreciate it greatly. I'm forever grateful. It really does help support the channel, and it means a tremendous deal. So thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Where were we? Unstable space. Okay, cool. I'm trying to I feel like if we keep moving, maybe the stream won't crash as much. Emmerich Hegel and the other Volkslandian delegates started making noise again. Milliliter says, want to drop by to wish you a happy birthday for tomorrow. Thanks for another year of great content. Love your Planet Zoo and JWE 2 series. Remembered your birthday from all the times you pointed out in Planet Zoo. Yeah, I can't help myself. Every time important dates come up. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly. And we're actually going to be doing a birthday stream tomorrow at noon Eastern time, which is about 40 minutes from now tomorrow, of course. But yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm glad you've been enjoying the shows. And both will hopefully continue in various forms over the course of the next year as well. Appreciate it. All right, this time, Hegel had taken off his shoe and was banging the table with it. There it is. There's the famous shoe. Thank you, Hegel. You never disappoint. I have no words. The Chancellor's gone mad. It's getting ridiculous. He's not even ashamed at his age. Despite its claims that the CSP's actions will only bring about war, we believed United Contana and Arcasia, together with their allies, could come to some understanding for our mutual benefit and our desire to avoid the destruction of the world. Yet United Contana keeps acting in complete disregard to international law. Their allies are forcefully taking land and imposing their own values on the people of those lands. I will say this to the leaders of United Contana. If either of us is to be secure, we need a peaceful cooperation, not nuclear missiles, shows of naval superiority, or invasions. If the leaders of United Contana fail to demilitarize Helgeland, with complete dismantling of the nuclear missiles and the withdrawal of the occupying Volkslandian forces, the ATO will have to take matters into our own hands. Hegel stood up with a shoe in his hand. What is that supposed to mean? You're promoting war in the Alliance of Nations? Mr. President, this cannot... Nine slammed the gavel down and shouted, Silence, please! Mr. Chancellor, please let me finish. We did not interrupt you when you addressed the Assembly. Finally, I propose that the Alliance of Nations undertake the noble cause of helping the people of the world through rewriting and properly enforcing its Human Rights Declaration. The Alliance of Nations cannot survive as a static organization. Its size and duties are increasing enormously. It should adapt to the changing world. But peace and rights do not rest in the hands of this organization alone. They rely on the hearts of our people and the spirit of cooperation between our nations. So let it be known, my fellow inhabitants of this world, let us take our stand and see if we can finally achieve a lasting peace. Thank you. Most of the assembly applauded his speech, the ATO delegates in particular. That speech had very dangerous connotations to it. Yes, I hope we won't be seeing a direct war between the superpowers anytime soon. That would be the destruction of the planet. The applause continued for some time. Walker shook hands with various delegates on his way back to his seat. President Nines announced the last speaker before the break. It was Leon Malenev. Malenev slowly walked to the rostrum in his iconic suit. All of the CSP delegates stood up and applauded him. Honorable Chairman, and fellow delegates to the Alliance of Nations. Here we are again, at the most esteemed meeting of state representatives in the world. However, increasingly, we are being threatened, disregarded, attacked, or ignored in this assembly. The representative of Arcasia has just shown this unfriendly attitude towards us yet again. Arcasia would have you believe we are standing in the way of lasting peace, yet the peace they talk about was only possible thanks to our missiles and our growing base in the developing world. The ATO kept waging wars against people's revolutions and forcing new independent states to be their puppets, binding them to themselves through the Arcasian lira. And now, yet another Arcasian president is telling us that we are the aggressors, and they are the keepers of peace. We will not be silent anymore against these lies. When was this peace you talk about? Where was this cooperation between our countries? Have you ever accepted our invitation to talk about denuclearization? If you don't like us, don't accept our deals, don't listen to our concerns, and keep pointing fingers at us, why do you invite us to the Alliance of Nations? Every year, United Contana comes to this assembly to address the real problems of real people. People who suffer because of your systems, your wars, and your ignorance. Whether you like it or not, we'll keep representing the laborers, the slaves, the oppressed of this world, and believe it or disregard it, history is on our side. We say to the representatives of capitalist countries, come and visit us, come and see the revolution working in Contana. Show our continent to your people without distorting the reality. If you cannot do that, then you need not come. We believe socialism will triumph over capitalism in the end. Such is the logical conclusion of the development of humankind. This time, lesbian delegates started laughing very loudly. Some other delegates booed. Let's see. We didn't make an enemy of Malenev, right? We spoke to him. We left on all right terms. I'll keep muttering to David here. Ridiculous. Malenev or the laughing? Both, actually. The laughing's uncalled for. It's uncouth. You can keep laughing, gentlemen. Communism will bury you. Suddenly, the laughing turned into shouting. If you really believe in cooperation, we will be waiting. We're not going anywhere. However, if the ATO keeps intervening in our matters, it is natural that the CSP would react. Despite threats from the ATO, Rumburg, or any other nation or organization, we must not succumb to further division and violence. We must ask ourselves, what do the people of our countries expect of us? They surely don't want war and bloodshed. So let us leave to our children and grandchildren good memories of our time and a better future for all. Let them look at history and say, once there were great divisions and complex problems, but the leaders of the world came together in the Alliance of Nations and succeeded in settling them in order to ensure our peaceful lives. Let us act in such a way to make this session not a session of threats, but a session of hopes and the realization of them. The government of United Contana and the United Peoples of Contana are ready to serve their duties for world peace. Long live the People's Revolution. That was a great speech. I'm just very concerned about the rising tension between them and Arcasia. The assembly broke into massive applause. The applause continued for some time. Malenev slowly walked back to his seat as the president announced a break. That was a lot. Yeah, let's grab some lunch. Lead the way. We walked out of the hall to have some lunch and fresh air. And thus the meeting of the Alliance of Nations has come to a conclusion. I'm not sure how well that went. I think it went well enough. We presented our case. We showed that Rumburg is a problem. I hope they'll investigate that. I can't remember how it went last time, so I have no barometer for comparison, which is probably for the better. Keeps us on our toes. Let's take a look at the news first real quick. Geopolitico will hopefully reveal something to us. Missiles on Helgeland. According to a report from the Alliance of Nations, immediately after the occupation, Volkslandian forces started building missile silos, and they brought in vehicles that are suspected to carry United Contanon missiles that are capable of reaching Western Mercopa. Agnolian leader Van Hoorten claimed that Volksland is planning to install nuclear missiles on the island. He said that Agnolia will not allow Volksland to settle on Helgeland. Agnolian forces did not react apart from 2 air raids since the invasion, and it is unknown if the conflict will be concluded officially anytime soon. Very well. Chancellor Hegel's disgrace at the Alliance of Nations. Love it. I love it. Yeah, our ministers do seem to be slower than the press. Ain't that the truth, man? That meeting could have been an email. I don't know about that one, Althor. Alliance of Nations' latest session has ended with many important takeaways. However, the highlight of the gathering was without a doubt Chancellor Hegel. In a display of shameful behavior, Chancellor Hegel has repeatedly interrupted the Agnolian Prime Minister Van Hoorten and went so far as to require the intervention of the speaker. We would like to remind that this was a meeting of the leaders of the world, not a village council. As long as this type of behavior continues, how can we ever expect a peaceful and level-headed resolution for the Helgeland issue? Finally, Lesbia shows evidence of Volkslandian missiles in Helgeland. All this focus on Volksland and Agnolia, no talk about Rumburg. That makes me a bit nervous, I'll be honest with you. Alliance of Nations' latest session has ended with many important takeaways. However, the highlight of the gathering was without a doubt the issue of Helgeland. Wait a second. I thought it was Hegel. During the session, Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez showed photographs of Volkslandian deployment of missiles to the occupied Helgeland, shocking the world. The missile deployment poses an existential threat to every country in Mercopa. At the moment, the peace in the world seems to be hanging by a thread due to the unlawful actions of Volksland. I don't like this. I don't like this. No one's talking about Rumburg. Maybe it'll come up later, but that makes me a little nervous. Election poll results. With the election drawing near, our staff at the Maroon Palace has conducted general election polls all across Sordland. Our election polls show that roughly 27% of Sordish citizens would prefer to vote for the USP in the upcoming election. That's not a majority. That's not a majority at all. That's not ideal, actually. Oh my. Alright, emergency extended votes. With the emergency still being active during the elections, our police will be monitoring the voting procedures very closely to ensure the right votes are cast. The security forces will ensure that only the rightly eligible and legal votes can be cast at the ballot. Excellent! Nothing like voter suppression to keep you in charge, I should hope. So I hope that works out. Peter is still fine. Peter's actually okay. He has not done anything that we would live to regret. I'm curious how someone would think if I take my shoe off and bang it on the podium, that will really help drive my point home and convince people. You know, when you're really passionate, I suppose, when you're really passionate. Phone call with the Queen of Rumburg. Well, that's interesting. They'll remember that from last time. Is this a declaration of war about to go down? I'm a little concerned about this. More than a little. I was in my office waiting for the call that could potentially change the future of Eastern Mercopa. The phone started ringing. I took a deep breath as I held it to my ear. I heard the voice of the Queen of Rumburg from the other side. Mr. Rayne, how pleasing it is to finally get a chance to speak with you in person. I am Queen Beatrice Livingston, the Queen of the Four Corners of Mercopa, defender of Castle Zarsborough, conqueror of the tranquil sea, stout protector of the ancient lands of Rum, descendant of the most honorable King Edward I and the ruler of Rumburg. Let's be polite here, for starters. Very nice to finally talk to you as well. Excellent. Now, given the circumstances, I never thought I would be giving you a personal phone call, yet here we are. Even after what Sordland has done, I'm showing you my willingness to talk instead of cutting off communication. Oh dear. Do I go with 2 here? Because she's smarming it up right off the bat here. Yeah, I'm a little worried, Sully. I feel like war is here. We've not had this phone call previously, and it can only mean one thing. Normally, it's a disruption of communication that means invasion. You are so kind and generous is obviously sarcastic. I think Why did you call takes us like right to the point, right? You're so kind and generous is obviously sarcastic. I did not hang up yet. That should show you my willingness to listen to your whining is a little too... I mean, look, we're trying to avoid war here, right? Trying to avoid war here. God. Why did you call? Please listen to me carefully. This is your last chance. I'm offering you a peaceful way out of your dire situation. My demands are simple. You will give us control of our stolen ancestral homelands, Estord and Narble. Those cities are surely of lesser importance to you, judging by the way your country has treated them. That's all I ask. If you fail to comply, to put it simply, we will take them by force. A war, Mr. Rayne. So please, I beg you to have reason. Think of your citizens. Think of your people. Do not enter a war that you have no chance of winning. The Alliance of Nations really did not care about Rumburg. So busy and preoccupied they are with the struggle between the superpowers and the potential nuclear missiles on Helgeland, they've completely ignored the nukes in Rumburg. Completely. There was no engagement. This playthrough was easier on Peter, not easier on me, though. God damn. No, that's still in the works, Spindle, unfortunately. Just haven't had the chance to get it all ported over. Didn't realize how reliant I was on one service. This is very direct. You must be out of your mind if you thought I would give in to your threats. You dare insult me, your time is over. Your Highness, along with your country, I will see you on the battlefield. I will not lead my country to a war. Peace must be maintained by any means necessary. Or only Estord and Narble, nothing else. I mean, 3 sounds potentially weak. You lose 100% of the wars you don't fight. War profiteers. Yeah, probably. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Indeed, it's coming to fruition. Getting pretty tiara of the queen. Oh my god, Natalie. Oh my goodness. I love it. Home by Christmas, hopefully. You must be out of your mind if you thought I would give in to your threats. I don't want to refer to her as your highness. That's the only reason I'm picking 1 over 2. I know it's sarcastic, but I don't even want to give her that pleasure. You must be out of your mind if you thought I would give in to your threats. A pity, really. At least my conscience is clear. I've given you a chance, and you refused. You have failed your people. War it is, then, Mr. Rayne. You will regret your decision until your last breath. The line dropped dead. And just like that, the Rumburg War had begun. Hot damn. This is far from ideal. Welland better be up for a fight. We are in a lot of trouble here, folks. Welland, again, is a half-ally. Agnolia is not with us. Nobody seems to care about their literal nuclear weapons. We could face the annihilation of our people. Rumburg closes all diplomatic channels. Rumburg closed all diplomatic channels with Sordland and blocked all incoming and outgoing communication. Our intelligence and army reports that the troop movement in the border are indicating a preparation for an invasion. We do have our air superiority, hopefully. We have invested in our military, so hopefully we can turn this around. I wonder if the TV interview helped make this happen too. Potentially. I don't think they were a fan of our retaliation, and then I think Helgeland has acted as a bit of a distraction, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Private meeting with David Whiskey. Shouldn't we be meeting with a few other people at the same time? David has scheduled a private meeting with me, but he didn't specify what it was about. Are you about to resign on me, and right as the war kicks off? We need Towman, exactly. I heard a knock on the door. Mr. President, may I come in? Yes, David, please, come in. Thank you. He slowly made his way towards the chair in front of my desk and sat down. First of all, thank you for your time. Anything for you, David? I wanted to ask you how you're doing. It looks like war is truly upon us. It must be taking a toll on you, just like it did on me all those years ago. But of course, I won't presume to understand what you're going through right now. I was never the leader of a nation during wartime, after all. Huh. I am kind of tired, but no, I cannot show weakness. I'm only interested in the results of this war, nothing more. Please be sure to take some time for yourself. If you ignore the mental fatigue, it will slowly creep in on you. It will poison your thoughts. Thank you for your valuable advice. Thank you for taking my advice over the years. He started coughing. It has been many years since you were in my classroom. There's one thing I learned from you. It is that power changes people. It makes them do things that were not imaginable before. True, but it changed me for the better. Perhaps, but it also takes its toll. David coughed again, this time for longer. I overheard a conversation the other day near a newspaper stand. It piqued my interest, so I kept listening. They were talking about you. They were saying that you were trying to establish a post-Sallist dictatorship. They called you a true authoritarian. What do you think about that? I mean, I am a bit of an authoritarian, but is that such a bad thing? The benevolent dictator? Is that such a bad thing? There's no use in denying that. I am an authoritarian. My father, Arthur S. Whiskey, used to say, always know yourself. It's at least good to know that you do. I respect your honesty. I'm afraid I have an announcement to make to you. Go on. After the term is done, I'll be retiring. For what reason? I've been in this line of work for many decades now. I swore an oath to myself years ago. I would quit if I ever felt like I didn't have the physical capability to serve anymore. At that point, I would become a hindrance. And that time has come, Mr. President. My bones are aching, my hands are shaking, my voice is failing. Besides, I'm sure you could find a younger minister who's a little more full of life. He winked at me and chuckled, which turned into another cough. You have been a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Thank you for your service to this country. It was an honor, Mr. President. David stood up to leave. We hugged. Best of luck, Anton. Thank you. He turned around and left. Oh boy, yeah, by retiring you mean join the front lines? I hope so. We need those numbers, don't we? We need to bump up those numbers. Sully, you gotta go. Sounds good, buddy. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you had a good time, and good luck with what's left of class. We got news. We got Marcel Caronti endorsing President Rayne. Hopefully that does some good for us. Swordish media mogul and businessman Marcel Caronti has officially endorsed us to be the next president of Sordland. With Mr. Caronti's wide-ranging connections and new media power, we can expect more votes in the upcoming election. I mean, if there is an election to be had, we're headed towards war, rather quite literally here. Ooh, Agnolia, what's going on here? Puts forward bid to join the ATO. The Republic of Agnolia officially put forward a bid to join the ATO. It is likely they will be entering the Arcasian sphere as President Walker has tentatively accepted their bid to gain more foothold against the CSP. Man, things are changing. Things are very different from last time. Geopolitico has this to say. Rumburg possesses nuclear weapons. Can we not? Okay, this is good. This is a start. Surely people are going to do something about this. During the Alliance of Nations session, President Rayne has claimed that Rumburg possessed nuclear weapons. Today, the investigation committee tasked by AN has found evidence that President Rayne was in fact saying the truth. Rumburg has nuclear weapons. So what does this mean for Eastern Mercopa? In the region, Rumburg has always been one of the strongest military powers and also one of the most threatening, which secures them the position of being a key player. Possession of nuclear weapons by such a country not only threatens their neighbors and longtime rivals, Sordland, but also nations that are farther away from their immediate reach. Rumburg's new status as a nuclear power will make them a force to be reckoned with. The balance of the world is about to change once again. Is that it? Does nobody else care? Does nobody else care? And no, Spindle, we are on our own. We had that conversation with Melaniev, but we did not join the CSP, no. Swordish Foreign Minister retires. David Whiskey, Sordland's Foreign Minister, has announced he will be retiring at the end of President Anton Rayne's first term. The son of Sordland's first president, Whiskey has enjoyed a long and fruitful diplomatic career and served as something as a mentor to the President Rayne during his student days. The Rayne administration has not yet announced a potential replacement for Mr. Whiskey should Rayne be elected to a second term. Yeah, because war is afoot. I mean, come on, people have got to stand up against Rumburg after the confirmation of the nuclear weapons, right? Right? USB Congress cancelled. In light of the encroaching war with Rumburg, the USB Congress will not happen this year. President Anton Rayne retains his position as party leader and will represent United Sordland as a presidential candidate in the upcoming elections. Well, that worked out nicely. Yeah, exactly. I don't think there will be another term, truth be told. Existence of nuclear weapons in Rumburg confirmed. AN intelligence has confirmed that the information from the Rumburgian whistleblower was true. Rumburg does have nuclear weapons capable of threatening Sordland and Eastern Merkopa. The Alliance of Nations ratified a barrage of sanctions on Rumburg by the member states. Okay. Don't know if that's going to do anything for us, but Friday afternoon in the office. Just a chill afternoon. The door opened and Lucen entered. Mr. President, there's a problem. What kind of problem? Some cabinet members said they wanted to speak to you urgently. They are in the White Room. Please follow me. We started walking. Do you know what it's about? I was just told to come get you, sir. I opened the doors and we entered the White Room. I looked around. Ciara and Neo were standing near the table with their arms crossed. Pascal looked incredibly stressed. He wiped off his sweat. Good evening. Mr. President, I'll cut to the chase. We're here to let you know that we're handing you our resignations. Let's all calm down. We can work something out. This kind of stuff before the election is horrible for the administration. I'm afraid we can't calm down. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but this is the end of the road. We simply cannot go on anymore after what happened. Talk to me. What can I do? How can I help you better? I'm sorry, but everyone in this room has already made their decisions, and we won't turn back from it. I suppose we owe you our own reasons. How could you create the secret state police? How dare you attack the very values this country stands on? You will go down in history as a dictator. This is a direct breach of the democratic process. You're responsible for destroying the lives of the representatives that this country has picked. What is most upsetting is the fact that we would not know of any of this if not for these leaks. Your very own cabinet did not know of this. Wow. Interesting to see some people who are looking for me to use my power for their own goals are now upset at us. Of course, that's how it always works, right? New term, new cabinet, win-win. True that, right? True that. Enough. If you don't have what it takes to improve this country, then you don't deserve to be in my cabinet. I'm not going to kowtow to them. Get out of here. Your resignations are accepted. You have completely changed. I don't know how I could have ever believed in you. I guess this is what power does to people. I refuse to work under such circumstances. Why don't we talk about the permanent emergency situation that you have put our country under? What emergency? You're just creating enemies out of thin air to firm your grasp on the people. Ciara, we are at war! We're at war, you absolute idiot. It's all a ploy to grab more and more power. What's next? You're going to declare yourself the king of Sordland? A king, that does sound nice, doesn't it? No. You're fools if you can't see the real threats. Yeah, you are fools if you can't see the real threats. I don't need fools in my cabinet. There's only one threat in Sordland, and that's you. I don't even know why I joined the cabinet at this point. You managed to bring education to this country 20 years back in time. There were other high-priority issues we had to handle. What is more important than education? Attending unnecessary speeches? Shaking hands with priests? Even though you acted against the epidemic which saved millions of swords, I cannot and will not stand with your abuse of power. The things you did behind closed doors shook me to my bones when the news came to my knowledge. You may have your reasons, Mr. President, that it is for the greater good. The same line of reasoning will simply lead to more atrocious actions. I will hand you my resignation once our term is done, Mr. President. I took a deep breath. I looked at their determined faces. I accept your resignations. Now get out of my face. The ministers left, and I took a seat alone in the White Room. Ciara was too radical for this country anyway. Neo was a great minister of justice with a good track record. Pascal's heart was at the right place. It's sad that he's leaving. People come and go. Such is life. That's some good spin, Classified. That is some good spin. These codex updates are obviously about our cabinet. Half of our cabinet resigning over here. As, again, I just want to say, we're at war. So it's a little silly for them to be like, what emergency? We're literally at war. Literally at war. Wave of resignations strike Rayne administration. According to the Maroon Palace insiders, several key members of Rayne's cabinet approached him yesterday to hand in their resignation letters. It is not yet known who resigned, for what reason they did so, or when these resignations are set to go into effect. But this event, combined with everything else that has been going on, is unfortunately likely to cripple Rayne's election chances. Oh, 100%. 100%. Saint117, thank you very much for subscribing. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, you know what to do. Let me know down below. Hit that like button, folks. Hit that like button to show your support for the Rayne administration, as great as it is. Future of Rayne's cabinet. From the Lackhaven Times. Following last week's shocking resignations from the cabinet, eyes turn to President Rayne as his term is approaching its end. He is certainly not in a favorable position with a considerable number of empty seats in his cabinet. No selections for the vacant seats have been announced yet, however. The timing bears a lot of questions about the stability of the administration. This is, without a doubt, going to have a major impact on the election as President Rayne is gearing up towards his possible second term. The fact that we're still going to have an election in the middle of a war is kind of surprising. I'm pretty sure elections get suspended at wartime. It's a reason why some countries will sometimes go to war. Dinner at home. Are you for real? Yeah, exactly. If they're going to call me a tyrant, I may as well be a tyrant, right? With the election looming and war on the horizon, I'd practically been sleeping in my office lately. But tonight, I made a deliberate effort to get home early. Frank was coming to dinner for the first time in months. I told everyone I wanted a family supper, just like in the old days. Monica had promised to cook something special. I didn't know if it was my imagination, but there seemed to be more guards outside my complex than usual. Is this how I die? Is this how I go? I hurried past them, went inside, and locked the front door behind me. I heard footsteps coming my way. Hi, Papa. I opened my arms to embrace my daughter. She hugged me back happily. How was school today? Deanna shrugged. I won a prize at the handicrafts fair. Mama didn't seem to care that much, though. Well, come on, that's not fair. Don't make your children feel bad because of your own personal crusade. Come on now. She's just jealous because she was always bad at sewing. Yeah, well, no, I'm not gonna try and compete as a parent. She's just jealous because she was always bad at sewing. Make light of it, right? Make a joke out of it. Deanna smiled and pointed to the kitchen. Mama's in there. I've got to do some homework before dinner. I followed her with my eyes as she went upstairs. She was starting to look more and more like her mother. I stepped into the kitchen. Monica was stirring a pot on the stove, her back turned to me. I snuck up behind Monica and gave her a hug. She screamed and dropped her ladle. When she realized it was me, she smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. Sorry, Anton, I guess I've been on edge lately. Why don't you go fix yourself a drink in the living room? I'll let you know when dinner's ready. I sat down in the living room, poured myself a bit of whiskey, and flipped through one of Monica's women's magazines. Good old traditional family values. Gotta love them. In the living room, glass of whiskey, Monica cooking in the kitchen, Deanna upstairs doing homework, learning how to sew. So beautiful. Suddenly, Frank burst through the door. Sorry I'm late. I was with Shayna. We were, studying. He flung his backpack in a corner and sprawled out in a chair. Oh no, am I about to have the birds and bees talk with my son? So that's still going on. No, I hope you two are being careful. About the protests, obviously. Come on. We're certainly being more careful than you've been with your treatment of our people. Frank glared at me. He looked like he was about to say something else, but then Deanna came downstairs. Frank! Hey, Pipsqueak. The two of them ignored me for a moment and started chatting away about their schools. Man, I ought to beat Frank. I ought to beat Frank. Monica appeared in the doorway and smiled warmly at the sight of the three of us. She doesn't know the reality of the situation. Dinner's ready. The three of us gathered around the dining room table. Monica ladled out bowls full of zabla. The stew tasted as good as it smelled. I just want to eat in peace. I don't want to deal with Frank. Monica is poisoning you. Don't trust Monica. Honestly, at this point, it'd be a sweet release. Just kill me now. Now that we're all here, I wanted to say something. The past 4 years have tested our strength as a family. Oh, man. I was so busy focusing on the needs of the Swordish people that I sometimes forgot about Sordland's most important people, my own wife and children. A little bit of humility goes a long way. I think it's true as well. We spent very little time with our family this playthrough. I hope I can make it up to you someday. Monica's eyes were shining. Once the election's over, I'm taking you all on holiday. Monica sighed heavily. Anton, I think you should stop. Not just drop out of the election and quit politics entirely. I can't. I've come too far. With everything that's happened, I don't think the public is on your side anymore. And every day you stay in government gives your opponents more chances to smear your reputation and ours. They've been making fun of me at school because of you, Papa. Oh, man. Why you got game? Why you gotta do this to me? What is this? I know things will be easier for me at school once everyone stops blaming me for stuff you did. You being president, it hasn't been easy on any of us. Maybe we could go back to the way things were before. Man, I just gave up my entire personal wealth for this election. Even if I lose it, I'm not going to let that be in vain. Sorry, Monica. I've got to keep going. Monica's lips formed a thin line. Time to serve me some divorce papers? You never did know when to give up. Go, Dad. I believe in you. Can we finish dinner now? Yeah, of course. 4 of us finished our food in silence. Once we had cleared our plates, I went up to my study. I still had work to do. Man. Pulling at those heartstrings, for real. Kids are ruthless, but... Oh, yeah, you mean the kids at school who are bullying our children? Yeah, kids are ruthless. Man, should have just kept that personal wealth and retired at the end of this run. Rumburg war planning meeting. There won't be a country to lead after anyway. There's no chance we win this war. Not a chance we win this war. Exactly, they should be grateful for the vacation. Think a lot of Swordish kids get vacations in this era? And that's what I was thinking, Halthor. It's like, okay, who's been making fun of you, Deanna? Give me some names and addresses. Now we need some CK3 style epic war music. Oh, I hope it's epic. I hope it's also Swordish themed as opposed to Rumburgian themed. I arrived at the Ministry of Defense and entered the war room to discuss the war plans with the general staff. I'd never seen this room so packed with people. Every single top-ranking general and admiral in Sordland was in attendance. In addition to the military officers, their assistants were spread out around the room. They stopped their chatter immediately and saluted me. Josef was standing over the table, arranging tokens atop an oversized map of Sordland and Rumburg. He walked up to me and saluted. Mr. President. At ease, gentlemen. The general sat down and I took my seat at the head of the table. I took a look around, and General Vulcan nodded at me. Josef stood up and picked up an extendable pointer from a shelf on the wall. The chattering among the staff began again. Josef extended the pointer and loudly hit the map on the table right in its center. Silence! The room immediately went quiet. Everyone had their attention on Josef. He turned to me. Mr. President, may I begin? Please do. Very well. Everyone in this room has read the reports that the Queen of Rumburg is getting ready for a nationwide speech in 2 weeks. We have credible intel that she will be announcing a declaration of war against Sordland. The Rumburgian troop movements in the last 24 hours indicate that they are bolstering their frontline strength. The time has come, Mr. President. At this point, we are sure they are preparing for a large-scale invasion. I mean, yes, she literally told me she's declaring war on the phone. This will surely make us the enemy of the Queen, but if we triumph, she won't be matter enough for us to worry about? What? This will surely make us the enemy of the Queen. What? What? Yeah, she's declared war. What is this? What's going on here? The game's pretending like the phone call didn't happen. I have faith in our soldiers. We will persevere. Unfortunately, faith does not win wars. It's soldiers with faith do, Joseph. Alright, give it to me straight. What are the odds of success? Odds of success? Let me tell you something, Mr. President. Rumburg doesn't have any idea what or who they are dealing with. We will destroy their armies and send them back to whatever hellhole they came from. Some of the generals laughed. I was worried when he said odds of success. He meant it's going to go terribly wrong and we should all run into hiding. Rest assured, Mr. President, I am more than confident that we will win. Alright, how soon will they commence the attack? Judging from their movements and the insider information we have received, we have 2, maybe 3 weeks if we're lucky. There was a collective gasp from some of the general's assistants. How does our military strength compare to theirs? The estimates put their active military personnel at around 900,000 to 1 million. Meanwhile, we have approximately 200,000 soldiers on the ground. As for their air force, our estimates put the number of aircraft in their fleet at around 700. We have approximately 410 planes, of which 140 are state-of-the-art jets. This isn't... Yeah, Joseph, I'm starting to doubt your judgment, for real. What the hell? I'm a little concerned that this guy's taken a few too many knocks to the head. Stubbed his toe a few too many times, you know? Our fleet currently totals up to 60 ships and approximately 60,000 sailors. Fortunately, the main theater of this war will be on land, so their navy will have limited impact. I predict that they will try to block our seaports, reducing our trade and disrupting our supplies. Meanwhile, Rumburg has around 110 ships, and according to our latest intelligence reports, high-tech submarines as well. Nuclear? Regrettably, we don't have an estimate on how many submarines they have. The Queen has ensured her royal submarines are under state secrecy, thus our intelligence officers are having a hard time spotting them. Overall, their numbers may seem superior, but I would like to remind everyone that wars are not won with numbers alone. Joseph glanced over at the general and stopped at Vulcan. He shook his head. I understand the situation. Good. Now we have to talk about our defensive strategy. Well, let's begin with our land forces. We currently have the 1st Army deployed at Estor to reinforce the border. This is the place they will most likely attack from. The 2nd Army is standing by at Rayne for a possible assault from the north. The 6th Army is currently garrisoned at Narble, awaiting orders. Due to the potential of an invasion, all 3 armies have been undergoing rigorous drills, especially during the past few months. They are prepared to fight and die for their country, Mr. President. Good. That gives me some... No, that's a lot... That's not as faithful as needed, I think. You've done well, generals. No need for flattery. Just doing our duty. Now let's start discussing our path to victory in this war. Our top strategic location is in Thornborough, Rumburg's capital and the Queen's residence. Needless to say, if we manage to capture the Queen, the war will end. Interesting. What are the chances of capturing the capital? There might be an opportunity to push for Thornborough after we capture Zarsburg. But we are ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that when we discuss the war plan. Alright, well, what if she flees Thornborough before we get there? I'm a proud soldier of Sordland, Mr. President. I'd rather die than give up Hallsort to invaders. And I know a prideful person when I see one. If we strike fast, we can capture the capital and the Queen before she comes to her senses. Alright, can we still win without capturing Thornborough? If we can't do that, It will become a war of attrition. Whether we can outlast them depends on our economy. Okay, I am not so confident about that, but we'll see. Now let's move on. What are the other objectives? Aside from Thornborough, the location that we must capture to even have a chance to win this war is Sarsborough. Sarsborough is the intersection of Rumburg's complex railway system. If we take it, we'll have more options on both the offensive and defensive. Another strategic location is Dome. Capturing Dome will prevent us from being surrounded and cut off from the east. It will also reduce the battle line we have to cover with our limited numbers. I'll be frank. We can't fend them off alone. We need help. Ha! We don't need anyone else to protect our country. Sordland will stand alone as always. You're talking about fighting against 1 million men. 1 million! Here's the hard truth. We are all alone in this war. Don't know how I feel about that. What about Welland? What about Welland? Sordland has always been alone, Joseph, or we need to do whatever we can by ourselves. I know we can win. I mean, saying maybe we should have tried to get some allies after all right now is like, what am I... I'm wasting my breath there. I thought we had an ally in Welland, but that was clearly a waste. Clearly a waste. We need to do whatever we can by ourselves. I know we can win. Your confidence is inspiring, Mr. President. At any rate, this is what we're dealing with. Let us move on to our war strategy. Our first objective is taking Sarsborough. Alright, what are the plans to take Sarsborough? There are 3 options on the table at the moment. One is to simply dig in and endure their first wave of attack, then retaliate after they're weakened. Our second option is to launch a full-scale offensive on Sarsborough. We will strike at them hard and fast before they have the chance to draw first blood, which is insane in my opinion. Our third option is to do a pincer attack to wipe out their forces, then march towards Sarsborough. I like Yosef's thinking over here. In any case, our soldiers in the main armies are well drilled and prepared to carry out any strategy we choose. Tell me more about the pincer attack. We will feign an assault on Krimsrad with the full intention of tricking the enemy. Casualties are expected to a certain extent, so that Rumburg does not become suspicious of our real intentions. When they believe they are winning, they will push for Estord. With their confidence so high, they'll never expect the 2nd Army from the east and the 6th Army from the west, which are holding their striking positions. At the moment they capture Estord, we'll pull the trigger. Our bombers will strike at the logistical hubs behind them, after which we'll attack Estord from all 3 sides, destroying the enemy forces. Oh wow, so we're actually going to cede territory and then try and like surround and eliminate their armed forces, like cut them off from their supply chain and eliminate them. I feel like the pincer is the way to go over here. Draw them out, bait them out, surround them, finish them off. Oh god. Oh god, I hope it works. I hope it works. When you said, Spindle, when you said some Hannibal shit, I was like, we're gonna eat them afterwards? I didn't realize you were talking about the Battle of Cannae, but yes, it definitely has some feigned retreat vibes there, which I like, which I quite like. Cannae all over again. Fish in the barrel strategy. I think it could work. I saw the mention of capturing their capital will help the war score. Indeed, capturing their queen will immediately give us victory, right? Oh boy. While Rumburg is recovering from its losses, Sarsborough will be ripe for the taking. That's the time for us to immediately launch a counter-offensive towards Sarsborough and take the city. Our modernized army is trained and equipped for such a task. The gendarmerie will be of excellent help during our strike at Estord. They know every nook and cranny of the city. Oh, some good old-fashioned urban warfare. And Artonicus, yeah. Also, yeah, we'll eat them afterwards. I'm confident that we will achieve complete victory with my strategy. I don't think we should hear about the other options. Okay, let's hear about them. Let's hear about them. We're going to war here. This is serious. This is a serious deal. How is digging in and waiting for them to attack a good option? When they launch their initial offensive, our soldiers and tanks will be entrenched in strategic and well-fortified positions. Let them throw their manpower at our impenetrable line of defense. We will grind down their armies they're so proud of. With their pride shattered, their morale low, and their line disorganized, we will launch an all-out assault to strike the finishing blow. Which makes no sense. You're handing them the time and motivation to come up with a plan to attack us. They outnumber us, Joseph. With this move, we will destroy or at worst limit the effectiveness of their advantage. We don't even have the manpower to cover the entire border. I was just about to say this has some real Maginot Line vibes to it. Just saying. This has some real walk around the bunkers vibes to it, you know? Seems like an old guard dumb move, indeed. We don't even have enough reserves to fill potential weaknesses. All thanks to you. You were the one who pushed President Rayne to remove mandatory conscription. The gendarmerie can be deployed on the main line as well to support the war effort. That's not what they're supposed to be used for. They're a police force, Vulcan. Their skills will certainly be of use during the war, but they shouldn't join the front line as common soldiers. Exactly. Vulcan, do you even know how the army works? Now, why can't we just launch an assault on Sarsborough? If we choose to assault Sarsborough, our first step will be to have our bombers strike them on the front line. More precisely, at strategic points on the path to Sarsborough from Estor. Then our tanks will come in and puncture their defense at Krimsrad, followed up by our soldiers. After we penetrate their line, we will race for Sarsborough, threatening an encirclement of their forces. Which all sounds much easier than it is. Let me remind you that we are butting heads with an army far larger than ours. They can cover weaknesses in their line rapidly, which will leave our troops that are pushing through isolated. Our modernized air force has the capacity to accurately strike at the strategic targets across the battlefield. General Kruger, I want to remind you that that you were against modernizing our air force at first. Now you see its benefits. I simply use the tools I have, Joseph, as any good general would. Look, your bickering needs to stop. Like, for real, the hell. I'm ready to choose our first move. I think the pincer makes the most sense. Let them feel like they have the advantage, encircle them, you know, cut them off, right? Bomb them to hell, surround them, gun them down, get some of that Hannibal action going, right? Let's go with the pincer, I think. Let's go with the pincer. I'm ready to choose our first move. What is your decision on the first phase, Mr. President? Oh, I was expecting this to be in order of the suggestion, but no, 2 is the pincer. We need to fight smarter if we are weaker. Let's go with Yosef's pincer plan. I think it makes the most sense, and I see quite a few of you are with me there as well. The advantage in the air applies for the pincer as well as the full march towards Sarsborough. The problem is that they are a million strong. They will fill their gaps, and just like we're planning on cutting off their supply lines with the pincer maneuver, they'll easily cut off our supply lines if we just march towards Sarsborough. So I think the pincer is our best bet. We need to fight smarter if we are weaker. Let's go with Yosef's pincer plan. Excellent. So we're doomed then. Says Vulcan. The decision is already made, Vulcan. Joseph and I signed the plan documents for the first phase of the war and handed them off to the nearest soldier. So let's assume that at this point we have Sarsborough in our hands. This is just the first step. From this point on, it'll be harder since we're going deep into hostile territory. I see 2 options for us to move forward. We can continue pushing towards Thornborough and capture the Queen, or we turn our attention towards Dome. We risk being flanked from the east with either strategy, but it is a risk we must take. Any questions, Mr. President? How would we take Thornborough? After Sarsborough is taken, the enemy will be in shock and the morale will be low, hence opening up a brief window of opportunity for us to march towards Thornborough. How far is Thornborough from Sarsborough? I don't see it up here. I see Dome. That's probably like under this, maybe? However, if we hesitate for even a moment, this window will close. Even worse, the enemy will realize that we are overextending and will try to cut us off. This will leave the bulk of our army isolated in the cold north. Fortunately, our modernized forces have been properly trained and prepared for exactly such a mission. As much as I want to crush all Rumburgian hope by taking their capital, our doctrine does not include these kinds of rapid advances. To boot, our supply line will be stretched too thin, creating a weak point that can be exploited by the enemy. Our gendarmerie can stay behind in Zarsborough to cover our flank. Well, I know why we can't just defend Zarsborough from this point on. It's unfamiliar territory. We'll be on the back foot. It becomes a battle of attrition. We cannot afford that. I don't think we should even ask that question, truth be told. But elaborate on the strategy around Dome. Dome and Zarsborough are excellently linked logistically. Of course, they have this rail connection over here, right? There's a railway between the two cities. Just like the L1 between Lackhaven and Hallsword. This will aid us in transporting military supplies and troops. We can easily launch an assault on Dome within half a week after taking Zarsborough. Oh, this is interesting. What do you guys think here? This is interesting. Because I was ready to take the capital, but this is sounding a lot more viable. This is sounding a lot more viable. This is a tough one, right? This is a tough one. I'm not sure. I do think Dome sounds a bit more viable over here. Thornborough's our only option, really. Dome would offer us nothing that Zarsborough doesn't already. I guess that's a good point. At the end of the day, if we conquer territory, but they're still, 3 times as powerful as us, what are we gonna do, right? Yeah, cause okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Would have been good to have Agnolia here. I feel, you know what? Okay. Dome sounds more viable, but this is a Hail Mary war. I think we need to go for the capital. Because if we, it doesn't matter how much territory we take, they'll have more manpower to throw at this war. I think we'll have to take the capital. Yeah, let him finish explaining. True. We can easily launch an assault on Dome within half a week after taking Zarsborough. Also, anytime Vulcan takes charge of explanation, I immediately get doubtful. With that said, control of the rail system is key because Rumburg can utilize it as well. If they can withstand our assault, they can launch a counter-offensive with ease from the direction of Dome to retake Zarsborough. We would lose everything we've gained so far. However, with the capture of Dome, there will be no need to take Thornborough. It would be too late to attack anyway. Rumburg would either reinforce their southern defenses, or the Queen would come to her senses and flee the capital. Don't want to put too much weight on that statement. Even if we manage to capture Thornborough without their Queen, we won't be able to hold it during the winter. Our supply lines will be too stretched out for that. However, with 2 of their largest cities in our hand, we can lay out a defensive line. Especially around Dome. They took it from Magnolia because of the oil fields surrounding it. Their industrial sector has since heavily relied on them. With their oil supply cut, they won't have the fuel for their huge war machine, and their economy will slowly collapse. We'll be effectively choking them until they capitulate. But we have to consider the defenses in and around the city of Dome. Ever since they took it from Magnolia, they've been building up fortifications in case of an Agnolian attempt to retake the city. Furthermore, due to the length of the operation to take Zarsborough, they would come to the realization that Dome is our next target. There is no guarantee that we can take a well-reinforced and fortified city while holding the line at the western and northern fronts. The gendarmerie can stay behind and protect our flank from Zarsborough. No, you know what? I don't think Dome is viable. Dome is going to be well defended. They've been preparing for an invasion from Agnolia, apparently, so we don't have the strength to take it, I feel. Even if we do take it, we do not have the manpower to cover that entire track and actually hold back the Rumburgians. I think we hit the capital. Taking their oil while they're suffering sanctions sounds reasonable. True, but they must have reserves, right? They've been preparing for this war for our entire term. 4 years of oil reserves, I think, will outmaneuver and outperform our army. They outnumber us, again, 4-1, 5-1 at the beginning of this war. Sure, we'll reduce that difference maybe a little bit as the war goes on, but that their oil reserves will surely cover them for long enough to crush us. And as winter sets in, I think we'll struggle even more. I think we need to take the capital.
Yeah, if we had Ignolia, we could maybe consider Dome. Is Dome dumb is the question. I feel like it is. Yosef would know a lot about domes. If only we had nukes. Ain't that the truth, man? Dome will waste time. Yeah, we will not win a war of attrition. Not a chance. Not a chance we'll win a war of attrition. We could bomb the train line. That's not been suggested, so I don't think it's an option. But bombing the train line would actually probably hurt us more, because we're probably less mobile than the army that's 5 times as large as us, right? I'm ready to decide. Your decision, Mr. President. We will march towards Thornborough and end this war with a decisive strike against the enemy. I think it's necessary. I think that's what's necessary. Yeah, to hell with the Dome. We will march towards Thornborough and end this war with a decisive strike against the enemy. It is decided then. I'm warning you, if Rumburg listens to their well-trained officers, this plan will not work. I'm adding it to our battle plan. And that, gentlemen, is our plan against Rumburg. We only have one chance at victory. If we falter at any point during this war, it will be the end of Sordland as we know it. Mr. President, we will need your executive order to mobilize the forces. He also handed me the order and waited for me to sign the document. It was titled Operation Fallen Crown. I signed off on Operation Fallen Crown. That makes it official then. He turned to the generals in the room. We have work to do. Get back to your posts immediately. The generals saluted, and the war room dispersed to begin their preparations. I stood there alone in the war room, looking at the map of Sordland laid out on the table. I picked up one of the little metal tokens on it and turned it over in my hand. It represented thousands of men who were willing to die for this country. For me. I hoped I would not let them down. Here we go, says Jazzy B, throwing up those banners. Here we go indeed, folks. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. We do not have allies, apparently, to answer that question. I thought Welland would be of some help, but apparently not. Apparently not. What a waste that turned out to be. Had we not worked with Welland, we might have been able to get along with Lesbia, or perhaps literally any other nation. But no, it seems they were, after all, less than half an ally. Less than half an ally. There we go. More E's, more banners. I love it. I love it. Have faith, folks. The economy has collapsed. The budget is in the negatives. We're in trouble. We are in some serious trouble. All right, let's see what Volksland has to say here first. Volksland urges calm. Democratic Republic of Volksland hereby reiterates commitment to peace in Eastern Maricopa. The tensions between Rumburg and Sordland have to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. Maybe you should step in and investigate the nuclear weapons that Rumburg has. Proclamation of war. In order to address the decades-long atrocities committed by Sordland once and for all, effective immediately, Her Majesty Queen Beatrice Livingston declares that a state of war exists in between the Kingdom of Rumburg and Sordland. Perfect timing for that cheer as Cleese Vanderawera subscribes. Thank you very much, buddy. I hope I got your name right. If you're enjoying the show, don't hesitate to hit that like button. It really helps me make calls on the channel. Let's check the news and see what these channels have to say. Geopolitical. Rumburg prepares for an invasion. Troop deployments and movements near the Sordland-Rumburg border have increased tenfold over the previous weeks, signaling a potential hot conflict brewing. The recent nationwide mobilization order also proves that Sordland is preparing their defenses against Rumburg. Regional neighbors and alliance of nations urged calm in the region, with the exception of President Smolak. For now, peace in Eastern Maricopa is hanging by a thread that is almost about to snap. Nationwide mobilization order from the Hallsword Post. Attention all able-bodied citizens. By law, you are required to report to the nearest Swordish Armed Forces Recruitment Center immediately. You will be tested for aptitude and receive your orders. On a failure to abide, severe legal action will be taken. Do your duty to our nation. What does Lesbia have to say? Lesbia urges calm. The Republic of Lesbia hereby reiterates commitment to peace in Eastern Maricopa. The tensions between Rumburg and Sordland have to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. Again, there is no more time for calm. That time has come and gone. Had they investigated Rumburg for their nuclear missiles, things might have turned differently. Nationwide mobilization order. A nationwide mobilization order has been issued to reinforce our manpower pool. New recruits will be mostly serving as reserves, but we will prepare for the worst-case scenario. Approximately 1 million men have been recruited so far, and they will begin their accelerated training immediately. That'll help our numbers. Again, these aren't the strongest of soldiers, not the most capable, and in fact their presence can even break morale at times, but that is an extra 1 million soldiers that could really come in handy in a pinch. Fingers crossed. Come and gone indeed, K. Percy. I was trying to throw that down. Exactly. Did you expand the army or modernize it? We modernized our army, Marcus. We modernized our army, specifically our air force, which hopefully comes in handy here. The declaration of war against Rumburg. I was standing at the exact same podium overlooking the Hill of Pride where my inauguration took place. However, the mood this time was far from cheerful. I looked at the people of Sordland below. They were gazing up at me with confusion and concern. My name was announced. I stepped forward as the cameras flashed. The crowd started clapping. My brothers and sisters, in arms. The clapping and cheering faded to a deafening silence. As you have heard yesterday, Rumburg declared war on Sordland shortly after their dastardly attack on our sovereignty in the past few months. It is my duty as your president to inform you that in the following days our country will be targeted with more heinous attacks by our enemy. Unfortunately, the times of peace are coming to an end due to aggressive actions of Rumburg, or if their damn queen thinks they can get away with killing our soldiers, then I will tell them this. Think again. Let's rally our people. Let's rally our people. If their damn queen thinks that they can get away with killing our soldiers, then I will tell them this. Think again. As a strong and proud Sordland, we have many enemies because they are jealous of us, of our prosperity. As Sordish citizens, we have all sworn an oath to this country, and we are prepared to defend it to our last breath, or the Sordish army is standing ready and vigilant. I like this last one. The Sordish army is standing ready and vigilant to defend our country against any threat. They're playing with fire. Let's teach them that fire that burns inside the Sordish people is unlike any other. I love it. They used our good intentions to maintain peace against us for far too long, so I say that's enough. We have no choice but to take the next steps against this unwarranted war they're instigating. No, again, let's instigate our people, right? They are playing with fire. Let's teach them that the fire that burns inside the Sordish people is unlike any other. They dare to attack Sordland, my Sordland. There is a price to pay, and they will pay with their lives. Ooh, call on the international community? That might not be a bad idea. So the news might be worrying, but do not be afraid, Sordland, because I, Anton Rayne, am here. I don't think that's strong enough, given the current circumstances. I promise you this, we will be victorious. Sounds a little... I mean, I like it. But if there's an opportunity here to call to the international community one last time, I see a lot of calls for one over here. What do you guys think, chat? What do you guys think? True, you're right. You're right. You know what, Ricky Cool? You're right. No. I was so... Do you guys think they'll actually help? Because Ricky Cool has a point there. They won't help. Don't beg in your final speech, right? But I see a lot of calls for 3. Hey, BM, how's it going, buddy? Good morning to you as well. Damn, those are such powerful words. Don't beg in your final speech. But I see a lot of calls. If we can get some more sanctions, they've already got some going on them. Some condemnation, some sanctions. What good do they do in the real world even? God, suppose we could hope for the best. Again, they have nukes. All right, fine. Let's roll the dice. Let's roll the dice. I was I want to call on the international community to condemn this deliberate attempt to disrupt the world peace. Ooh, is it unfortunate? If they want war, so be it. War it is. I announce that Sordland is hereby declaring war on Rumburg, or unfortunately they are giving us no option but to declare a war to protect our sovereignty. Oh, all 3 of these are interesting. I think unfortunately can maybe make it look like we actually care about peace, you know? We actually care about peace. Oh, it'll definitely be a fast war. 2 makes us sound like the aggressor. Same as 1. 1 and 2 make us sound like the aggressor. So no, they are the ones who declared war. Unfortunately, they're giving us no option but to declare a war to protect our sovereignty. When we are done with them, we will dine in Thornborough. Wow. I have no doubts they will emerge victorious from this senseless conflict, or they will tremble before our might. I like 2. I like 2 a bit too much. When we are done with them, we will dine in Thornborough. Amorgno escor, vector insista. The crowd started chanting my name. Soldiers and military staff stood up and saluted me at the same time. I saluted the crowd. I left the podium as the crowd roared even louder. Regardless of my bravado during my speech, I was worried about what the future would bring. I had to wait to find out. Oh, Jesus. Oh, jeez. Alright, there's a couple notifications. There's a continue button. The borders haven't changed, so there's that. Let's start down over here at Vestord. I imagine there's some blockades going on. Rumburg ships sunk and captured in Markian Sea. What? Home by Christmas, folks. Home by Christmas. Nah, even shorter a war. Home before the end of Hanukkah. In like, what, 3 days? Rumburg ships sunk and captured in Markian Sea. Rumburg's navy has been spotted patrolling the Markian Sea. Even Sordland's improved fleet has not been able to keep their ships entirely at bay. Reports of ships sunk in the naval battles are mounting substantially. Fortunately, the losses are mainly on Rumburg's side. With the Markian Sea primarily under Sordish control, we have managed to sink or capture hundreds of trade ships carrying supplies for Rumburg, some even disguised as civilian boats. Okay. A promising first report. Let's see what's going on at Suzerain over here. Heavy fighting broke out as Rumburgian soldiers advanced on the defensive positions in Suzerain. We have lost 87 soldiers, 2 tanks, and 14 warplanes. Rumburg's attacks have been thwarted, but the assaults are expected to continue. Behind the front line, a special operations team managed to sneak into the enemy territory and demolished the enemy anti-air systems. They were spotted by the enemy, and an airstrike struck their position. The situation is expected to deteriorate. Oh, we were not expecting their advance into Suzerain over here. They've circled all the way around, come from Datefort over here, or Datefort, I suppose, right to Suzerain. That is not ideal. Narbel, what's going on? Rumburg artillery targets destroyed. Nice. We stopped the continuous shelling of Narbel by Rumburgian artillery. Yesterday night, our artillery brigades have targeted their locations and destroyed their heavy weaponry in a counter-artillery strike. Our division will take this opportunity and attempt a breakthrough to create a pocket to trap the enemy tanks. Vectern sis da. Very well, very well. Estord. Oh, wow. This is a lot. Loud arguments in Phase 2 meeting. What order should I read in? Hospitals and schools bombed in Estord. Rumburg bombing runs began yesterday night. They have leveled most of the urban areas, attacking hospitals and schools alike. There are many dead among the civilian populace. Local commanders report civilians and wounded children are inside their target areas. We are sending more anti-air systems to Estord to defend the city, but the local defenses are heavily damaged. It's the Battle of Estord. At 7 in the morning, the Rumburg armies marched into the city of Estord. The city was empty, its citizens having been evacuated days earlier. At 0900 hours, while the Rumburg armies were savaging and looting what was left of Estord, General Lancea sounded the signal for an all-out assault. At 12:45, our first wave clashed with their southern flank. At 15:13, our pincer attack started to take shape as the eastern and western armies began to enclose the enemy. The intensive fighting happened both in the sky and on the ground throughout the night. At 0400 following the day, Rumburg troops defending the eastern front of Estord routed. Our general commanding the army on the eastern side immediately signaled the victorious news to our headquarters, and in the meantime telegraphed the news internationally and to all propaganda spies in Rumburg. With their shattered eastern front, their flank was exposed and their supply lines were cut off. As we slowly gained ground, the Rumburg general capitulated. At 1400 on the same day, Sordland's flag was raised on top of Estord once again. Alright, Estord has gone well. Our little pincer over here has worked out quite nicely, but it seems to be Phase 2 is causing some friction. Following the Swordish army's successful invasion of Sarsborough... Whoa! Wait, what? We actually made it to Sarsborough? Our commanding officers held a meeting in the city itself to review the battle plans for the second phase of our military operation. However, the meeting quickly devolved into loud arguments between the generals, who walked out of the room with somber faces and pessimistic projections. Okay, that's a little less reassuring, but we managed to push back from Estord all the way up to Sarsborough. That is fantastic. What's happening at Laren, though? Agnolia, or Agenland, I should say, has something to say. Rumburg war crimes. In the places Rumburg soldiers... And we're back. Alright. Rumburg war crimes. In the places Rumburg soldiers managed to break our defense, there have been atrocious reports of war crimes. These reports outline death marches on the dislocated civilian populations and mistreatment of prisoners. According to a field commander, they do not fight like a regular army. Reports of new chemical weapons have been sent over to Hallsword. The war crimes will be reported to the international community for the whole world to see. Wow, okay. Chemical warfare, nuclear weapons, all sorts of war crimes and atrocities. Surely the international community has something to say about this. So what's going on at Lackhaven? Our generals expressed their gratitude. Our generals sent us their deepest gratitude for our excellent administrative work on the home front. Our artillery units are continuously shelling the enemy without concern over ammunition. Thanks to the continuous supply of medical equipment, we have minimized the number of casualties. They were only able to initiate continued assaults thanks to our efforts. Missing the D there, no problem. Alright, things are going well. We actually managed to push back from Estord. We actually managed to conquer Sarsborough. But as some of you have pointed out, this might be where our lack of allies comes back to bite us. Oh, by the way, Agenland is where... Sorry, I mistakenly thought Agnolia was somehow involved there. So excited I was by our conquest. But no, Laren is where the war crimes were being reported. So this is looking promising. We'll see what the news has to say and what the next chapter has to say as well. Ooh, country overview. Military. At war. Yeah, I would say that's a red thing. Sordland is in a state of war with Rumburg. The military is engaged in a war of survival against the northern menace. And so far, things have gone rather well. Geopolitical has this to say. Rayne confirms Sordland-Rumburg war. Speaking from the Hill of Pride in Hallsword, Swordish President Anton Rayne gave a speech announcing that his country would indeed be going to war with Rumburg. Tensions between the two countries have been escalating since Rayne took office, coming to a head in the past months following perceived provocations from Rumburg's side. Geopolitical will continue to provide updates of the developing conflict. The Hallsword Post has this to say: Sordland goes to war. So it comes to this. Sordland is indeed going to war with Rumburg, following what President Rayne referred to as a dastardly attack on our sovereignty by our northern neighbors. In a speech at the capital, he expressed his confidence in our military's capabilities and promised citizens that Sordland would emerge victorious. We pray for our country's good sons as they march off to the front lines. Classified coming through with a super chat. Money for the war effort. Kickbacks accepted. Appreciate it greatly. Classified. I assure you that money will go directly to the war coffers. Will help with the war effort and in keeping our country alive and running smoothly. And jokes aside, appreciate it greatly. Classified. Thank you very much for the super chat. Let us see what this next turn holds for us. Will it be glorious victory or noble defeat? Sometime later. Moment of truth as Kaladov Jr. subscribes. Thank you very much, buddy. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, folks, let me know down below. Hit that like button. Should we scroll on over to the border first? I imagine the border is still the same. I imagine this will reveal to us the results of the war. But I'm going to just nudge the map over. Okay, the border is the same. And we're back. Okay, so the border is very much the same. Is very much the same. But Battle of Hallsword at the Situation Room is not what I was hoping to see when I clicked on the exclamation mark over here. Not what I was hoping to see at all. Oh no, indeed. Have we been defeated? Have we been bested? David comes through with a super chat as well to help with the war effort. Hopefully we'll turn this around. Thank you very much, David, for the support. Greatly appreciated as always. As you've heard me say countless times before, help support the channel and the streams. Keeps it all possible. A moment of truth over here. Seems we've been outmaneuvered. I undid my tie slowly and rose from my seat in the protected bunker on the outskirts of Hallsword. I increased the volume of the crackling radio. The enemy is advancing on us, requesting backup. We're surrounded from all sides. I repeat, we're surrounded. They're using some kind of gas. Our soldiers' eyes and ears are bleeding. We need immediate assistance on Victory Avenue. Medics! We need more medics! They're approaching the Maroon Palace. We must protect the President at all costs. Squad 6 will initiate the final charge while we barricade the palace. Please, tell my wife I love her. Aggressive Sordland. They're coming in through the outer gates. They killed everyone. We surrender our weapons, but they won't stop shooting. If there is a God, I beg you, please, end this. If there's anyone listening right now, please. The world needs to know what's going on. This is no longer a war. This is a massacre. Squad 2, out. I turned the radio off and swallowed hard. Nobody knew I wasn't at the palace, except for Joseph. Miraculously, he'd managed to get my family here as well. Right now, he was monitoring communications in the adjoining room. I walked in and he saluted. The enemy is preparing to reach the palace. It's only a matter of time before they realize you're not there. What do you make of the situation? Don't worry, sir. Unless they somehow got their hands on the palace schematics, they don't know about the secret tunnel that leads here from the Situation Room. Besides, this room was built to withstand nuclear attacks. We should be safe here for the moment. The diversion at the palace should buy us some time. No surrender indeed. How did it get so bad so fast? Well, this is what happens when the enemy fights unfair. Chemical warfare, man. Chemical warfare. It'll change the tide of war. All these atrocities of war. See, the international community sits by and does nothing. Lets it all unfold, and they'll speak their platitudes after countless millions have died. Chemical warfare. Cowards that they are in Rumburg, using such disgusting weapons to win victory. Of course, the question is, how much time? We have lost contact with the squadrons protecting the outer perimeter of the palace. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. After thanking Joseph, I went back to the main room. I looked at Monica, Deanna, and Frank. Deanna started running to me, crying. I wiped her tears away. Papa, are we going to die? No, we will not die today. As long as I am here, don't worry. All right, I trust you, Papa. Anton, can you come here for a second? We went to a corner where Deanna wouldn't be able to hear us. What is really going on? Tell me the truth. She's my wife. She deserves the truth. My daughter needs to be protected to the very end, of course. Monica knows. We're most likely done for. But Deanna, Frank. She walked to Deanna and Frank to hug them. Frank walked up to me. Dad, seriously, tell me. Are we screwed? Don't fret. You're a Rayne. You have to be strong. So the answer is yes, then. Despite our location many meters underground, I felt the room shaking. Must have been the bombs. Joseph came out of the communications room and pulled me aside. Sir, the palace is about to fall, and one of the Rumburg combatants was overheard saying he'd located the tunnel entrance. Now is not the time to cry. Certainly not over spilt milk. What are we going to do? Our hands are tied. They've got troops stationed in the woods above us. The only way to get out is through the palace or not at all. If I were you, I would start saying my prayers, sir. Look around. Get comfortable. because this room will be our grave. No. I could go to the palace. They could kill me. Can't let them have my children. Can't let them have my wife. Barbarians that they are. We could barricade ourselves and hope for the best. Or what can we do? Against the might of Rumburg? I'm only putting my own flesh and blood in the line of fire. They only want me. I'm going to the palace. Are you mad? You want to run straight into the enemy's sights? I will not let anyone else die for me. You have shown me you are not a coward, Mr. President. It is one last battle for me, then. His eyes started shining. Yes, I always wanted to go out with a bang anyway. He took off his jacket and walked over to the bunker's weapons cache, loading himself up with everything that was left. He turned to me and gave me his handgun. Anton, don't you fucking dare! I'm sorry, Monica. It's the only way to save you, Indiana. You don't get to decide that. Don't open this door after I leave. No, I love you. The last thing she hears from me is not going to be an order. Joseph punched a code into the panel on the door and it slid open. As we left the bunker, it closed behind us with a final sounding thud. The small electric vehicle Joseph had used to get me here from the palace was still outside. We got in and drove down the dark passageways for several minutes, until we reached the secret entrance to the Situation Room. We disembarked and cautiously approached the door. Voices could be heard on the other side. Joseph shouldered his machine gun. Wait here, Mr. President. Joseph flung open the door and, in a flurry of gunfire, easily dispatched a small group of soldiers outside. The two of us cautiously crept through the room, then up through the palace's winding halls and staircases, avoiding footsteps when we heard them. Eventually, we finally reached my office. Everything was the same as I had left it. I'll go check the perimeter, Mr. President. Be right back. I poured myself a glass of early maroon 30-year-old. The taste was as exquisite as ever. I looked at the chair in front of my desk and remembered happier times with Peter. I raised my glass and finished it all. I sat down in my chair. I ran my hands over the leather armrests. I'd always felt comfortable sitting here. My mind went back to all the conversations I'd had in this chair, all the important decisions I'd made. I wondered which of them had led me to this miserable end. I opened the curtains and looked out the window. Black smoke was rising from downtown Hallsword. Buildings shook, groaned, and collapsed as bombs went off. From afar, I saw the bodies of people, civilians, strewn across roads and sidewalks. So this is what had become of Hallsword, of Sordland. The door to my office flew open. It was Joseph. His shoulder was bleeding. He stumbled inside, collapsed on the couch, and took a huge slug of my whiskey. They're here, Mr. President. They're inside the palace, and they're coming for you. I heard gunfire and more screams from the floor beneath us. Don't forget about the handgun I gave you. Of course, it's up to you how you want to use it. Mr. President, before I go, Joseph tightened his grip on his handgun. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for failing our country. It feels like just yesterday we were raising Sordland's banner over Tsar. It feels like just yesterday we were raising Sordland's banner over Zarsborough, but then our attempt to capture Thornborough ended in failure. Joseph stared down at the floor, lost in regrets. We can't do anything about that now. All we can do is make our last stand. We can't do anything about that now. All we can do is make our last. I was interrupted by the sudden loud noise of gunfire in the hall outside. Well, that's my cue. He pointed to his belt. I saw several grenades hanging from it. Out with a bang, right? Joseph turned to me. No matter what, it was an honor to serve you, sir. I saluted him, and he saluted me back. A morgna escor. Vector insista. Joseph ran to the door and opened it. I heard the metallic sounds of the pins being removed from the grenades. Grassy Sordland! Gunshots rang out, then an ear-splitting explosion, followed by silence. A good long minute passed. Then I heard the faint sound of approaching footsteps. I redid my tie and looked at myself in the mirror before sitting down at my desk. I looked down at the gun Joseph had given me and shifted it from one hand to the other. The door burst open, and a soldier in Rumburgian uniform stormed in. He turned his rifle on me. Point the gun towards the soldier. That was certainly a way to go, folks. That was certainly a way to go. No surrender, no mercy, no hope. 1958, Hall Sword. You pointed the gun at the soldier. A young man, no more than Frank's age, unfairly asked to die for his country. Two more men burst in and started yelling at you to lower your weapon in broken Swordish. Is this any way to live? I say we go out fighting. Matters not how young he is. He could have refused his orders. He could have stood down. But no, he partook in these atrocities, just as all his other friends did. Just as all his other friends did. Jazzy B, coming in with that super chat. Drop those V's in chat. Vector insista. Indeed, folks, drop those V's. This is how we go. Appreciate the super chat, Jazzy B. Thank you very much. As you've heard me say countless times, really helps the channel. Really helps keep these streams alive. Unlike Anton. Exactly, Spindle. They have no honor. They deserve no respect. They are not like Frank. In age, perhaps, but nothing else. I pulled the trigger. The young soldier collapsed motionless, swearing. His reinforcements aimed their rifles at you. You managed to kill another one in the melee. When the gunfire ended, you looked down to your own body. Blood was everywhere. You looked at the other side of the room. Monica, Deanna, and Frank were yelling and reaching out to you. Soldiers grabbed their arms. Their screams were heartbreaking. As you were fading away, I do believe I am a faithful, pious individual, but I think they need me more than anything. Tell them it was all going to be okay, to keep them strong until the very end. Told them it was all going to be okay. One last lie. Your voice only came out as a quiet whisper, yet you knew that they had heard what you said. You started to feel so tired that you couldn't keep your eyes open. You decided to rest for just a moment. After taking a deep breath, you closed your eyes. And so Anton Rayne was no more. Man. What an end. What an end. Oh my lord. That was so beautiful. Wow. Wow. That was really well written. That was really well written. That was really well done. We knew war was coming for the longest time. We had faith, but without allies, with Welland not making an appearance, and with our enemy's willingness to use atrocious weapons of war, we had no chance. Natalie P. coming through with the super chat. President for a year. The terms were full of Anton of memorable moments. Oh, what? Anton of memorable moments? What a way to go out. Thank you very much, Natalie, for the super chat. Appreciate it greatly. Again, like you've heard me say time and time again, it really does help support the channel, the streams, keeps it all sustainable and possible. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you so very, very much. Wild, man, wild. What a session this was. What a session this was. And oh my god, look at that. Look at that. Succeeded by Beatrice Livingston. We have been completely annexed. Sordland is no more. We will be remembered as the last president of Sordland. We did the best we could. We did the best we could. So let's see. In office from 1954 to 1958 as the fourth president of Sordland. Vice president was Peter Vectern. From start to finish, we stayed close friends. I don't know how the war treated him. Preceded by Ewald Alfonso, of course, succeeded by Beatrice Livingston, unfortunately. Born 1908 in Lackhaven, was to a family of good means as well. Of course, a member of the USP. Married to Monica Rayne with Deanna and Frank as our children. Frank, who, by the way, as you rightfully pointed out in chat, we didn't even mention at the end. Alma mater was LBS Economics. History will remember us as a neo-solist. You see how we compare it to other politicians. Remus Holstrom, I'm not sure who that is. Casaro Kibner, ooh, we're a little too close to him. A little too close to him. We're really, Saul, I guess, yeah, Saul was a bit more millennialist, wasn't he? Interesting to see where we land over here. It'll be interesting to see as well how we compare to our previous playthrough and where we stood there. I imagine we were a bit more down over here in our previous playthrough. But let's take a look at some of these stats. Between 1954 and 1958, 2.2 million civilians have died in the war. 2.2 million civilians died in the war. More than 721,699 people gained access to healthcare. 99 police officers and 640 British militants were killed in firefights. 18,320 people were arrested for their suspected ties to the Red Youth. 500,000 Swedish lives were lost during the Rumburg invasion. So that's 2.7 million total then. 500,000 during the invasion, 2.2 during the initial border skirmishing, I suppose. 12,390 people were arrested for their ties to the Workers' Party of Bludia. 328 people disappeared without a trace. 11,340 domestic violence cases were reported. 9,340 small businesses declared bankruptcy. And 5 million people lost their state health care coverage. Yeah, and then at the end of 1958, everyone lost everything to Beatrice Livingston. Man. I think we did okay. Right in the fields for real though. That was a good ending. Not a good ending. I mean, it was a well-written ending. A good ending would have been victory against Rumburg. But generally pleased with how we went out. With Yosef there going out with a bang, all those grenades. With us, no surrender right to the very end. Sad that our wife and children got picked up. I don't even want to think about what happened there. That part hit real hard. That part hit real hard. Oh. Folks. And with that comes an end to our second and, at least for the time being, final playthrough of Suzerain. Torpor Games has done a fantastic job with this game. We will do them the honor of reading through all the credits. I feel like it is only fair. They have been part of this experience. They have been crucial to this experience. Of course, without this game, we wouldn't have been able to enjoy not one, but two wildly different stories. I've enjoyed both of them thoroughly. They were full of their surprises, twists, and turns. I'm really pleased, actually, with how this one went. With how this one went. Great writing, fantastic writing. Honestly, I could recommend this game to anybody who's interested in politics, in RPGs, and in this sort of stuff. It is honestly a fantastic game which takes so many things into consideration. It feels like there's never a right answer, but there's also never a wrong answer. You know, all aspects are considered, all angles are considered. You laugh, you cry, you win, you lose. But at the end of the day, you have a good time. I certainly did. That was I think that was a great year of streaming Suzerain. A whole year of Suzerain, right? So it's pretty good. Perfect timing. We started, of course, December 4th of 2020. This game remains one of my gems of 2020. And we'll actually be moving on to something else next, Conrad OC. We've talked repeatedly about perhaps playing, what's it called? The name's skipping my mind right now. Wait for it. It's the one with the dice rolls because it's an RPG. Disco Elysium, that's what it was. We've been talking about playing Disco Elysium to replace this on Fridays. I've heard only good things about Disco Elysium. I've been told countless times by countless people that it's right up my alley. I think it'd be a lot of fun. It is an older game now, so, I mean, who knows, how that'll affect things, but I think it'll be a fun, chill Friday stream. Hopefully y'all are interested in joining me for that. We, though, will not be streaming, I don't think, any more Fridays this year. As I said at the beginning of this stream, this was probably the last Friday stream of the year. If I take a look at December here real quick, next week Friday, I'm actually headed out of town doing a little thing with a couple of friends. I'm excited to share some photos from that adventure. More details on that as it comes closer. I'll be sharing pictures and stuff on Twitter. I don't know how good our internet will be where we're going to end up, but the weekend of the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, I'm going to be out of town, actually. So there's no streaming on the 10th. Likely no streaming on the 13th either. The 17th, might be, I don't know. It'd be weird to stream just for one Friday, because the 24th is Christmas Eve. Here we do Christmas the Polish way, and Christmas Eve is the big day. So the 24th, I'll be preoccupied with all that. So yeah, I think this might have been the last Friday stream of the year, because the 31st, of course, I'll be preparing for like New Year's stuff and all that. So yeah, I think it was. And then January, though, early in January, we'll be back. I think with Disco Elysium is the call. Again, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord for updates to all that as plans get solidified. But yeah, it's gonna be difficult saying goodbye to Suzerain. It's become such a tradition, almost every Friday playing Suzerain, except for that one day where there's been one missed stream, and there was that one time where I just woke up halfway through the stream time, right? Apart from that, it's been pretty consistent. But yeah, hopefully folks will be excited for Disco Elysium. Glad to hear it, Conrad OC. But yeah, I think Disco Elysium will be a lot of good fun. I think it'll be a lot of good fun. Folks, we will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So an hour ago is noon Eastern time, except tomorrow, of course. We'll be back to do a bit of a birthday stream. Really excited for that. We'll see how long we go for, maybe 3 or 4 hours. I have some plans in the evening, but plans during the day are stream. So hopefully we'll go for 3 or 4 hours, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see how it's going. And then we'll be back, of course, on Monday which will probably be our last Monday stream of the year as well. Lots of stuff going down this December. Lots of exciting videos to look forward to. I've got a lot of script writing and stuff to do. I'm hoping later today I'll be able to hop onto the Discord for at least some time, because I'll probably be doing a lot of writing, and I can be on the Discord while I'm doing... Well, I say that, but I usually end up so distracted I don't get any writing done. Man, having a hard time saying goodbye to Suzerain. But folks, I hope you all enjoyed today's session. Again, if you did... Streamlabs doesn't tell me when my stream ends. I say when my stream ends. But as I was saying, folks, I hope you enjoyed the session today. Again, if you did, leave a like whether you're watching live or you're watching the VOD. A massive thanks, of course, to all of our super chatters today and our newest member, our newest re-member, I suppose I should say, and our multiple re-members, I suppose I should say. Thank you very much again. As I say always, it really does help support the channel. Of course, no session is truly done without giving a massive thanks to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel month after month, year after year. Like I say always, you keep us alive and running smoothly, so thank you so very, very much. And of course, a big old thanks to each and every one of you for watching, whether it's live, whether it's VOD, or, you know, usually something else, but you just happen to be listening to the credit screen here today. Thank you very much, because without each and every one of you, none of this would be. There's Wickles bringing up the links to both Twitter and Discord. Great places to be. Discord's a fantastic place to hang out with a fantastic community, and Twitter is a good place to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel, scheduling, and all that kind of stuff, and also the occasional bunny picture, and just, you know, just to see what's going on in life if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But folks, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll catch some of y'all tomorrow. It'll be at noon Eastern time, Spindle. Noon Eastern time. I'm actually going to make an event on the Discord as well, if I can figure out how to... I'm getting old these days. If I can figure out how all this newfangled technology works, I'll get an event set up on the Discord. I'll get the countdown timer up sooner rather than later as well. And hopefully I'll be able to catch a bunch of y'all, if not all of y'all, tomorrow at noon Eastern time for the birthday stream. I'd be honored to have you. And then if not then hopefully I'll catch you on Monday when we're back for Crusader Kings 3. Again, that might be the final Crusader Kings 3 stream of the year as well. Wild to think about that 2021 is coming to a close, folks. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me, at least, over the course of it. But until next time, cheers.